Hello, I'm Eugene Marshall of Arcanist Press and Sigil Entertainment. This is Sigil Spotlight. We are a diverse community of tabletop industry creators spotlighting each other's work. This session, we're playing Bug Hunt, The Children of Argent, a Cypher System adventure by Steven Seibert. It's available on DriveThruRPG via a link below the Twitch stream. The design, edit, layout, cover, I believe, are also done by Charlotte Irrgang, one of our players here today. Before we begin, I'd like to thank Sigil Entertainment for supporting the stream and providing our graphics and overlays. I'd like to thank Roll20 for providing us our virtual tabletop, and Monty Cook Games, as well as Char, for making today's game possible. Now, speaking of today's game, I should warn you that today's episode has a content warning. This is a post-apocalyptic horror setting about alien bug monsters and includes depictions of NPCs under mind control. So if that's something that is a no-go for you, please take that into consideration. Speaking of, to make sure we all have fun, we are employing safety tools. So thank you to Bree Bo Sheldon, Lauren Bryant Monk, Kiana Shaw, and Monty Cook Games for providing these tools for us. See the show notes for more info on those. And if you want to get a quick glimpse, I'll just scoot this up. We've got safety tool buttons down at the bottom here, and if my players don't have those, I'll remind you to turn those on in the macro setting. In case something really bothers you and you want to rewind or pause or stop or ask if everyone's okay and so on. All right, so let's get to know our players and characters. But before I do that, let me give a quick recap of what happened, because this is session 2 of Bug Hunt. So, as I said, I'm Eugene Marshall. My pronouns are he, him, or they, them. I am co-owner of Arcanist Press and lead game designer for Sigil Entertainment, and I will be the GM today. Here's what happened last week, and then we'll go around and meet our players and characters. Our characters are in a bayou outside of New Orleans. It is after an awful apocalypse. Alien bugs have invaded and taken over the planet. And there are a few places of resistance, humans who have fought against the bugs, tried to push them back. A particular group in the Louisiana Bayou called the Ancient Brotherhood of Roughnecks. Apologies for that. Ancient Brotherhood of Roughnecks have spent years fighting these evil alien bugs. A rendezvous they were supposed to have made with a character that is a member of the Roughnecks called Hosea Greer went bad. They arrived at Hosea's home only to find Hosea's adult children had been acting strangely. They were setting up an ambush. Giant ant warriors, the aliens that have invaded, attacked. They fought them off and discovered that the adult children had become kind of bug zombies because they had an awful brain slug. So here's the first of our gross outs. So, I'll show this one. These brain slugs can climb in the ear and take over your brain. And unfortunately, that had happened to these two people. And so they fought against our heroes, but our heroes managed to defeat them and free their bodies from control of these, their dead bodies from the control of these slugs. After they had cleared the area, they heard a radio speak out. And it was Samantha Weatherton. Sam comes over the radio and she explains that her wife Clara and their son Martin are in danger. A bug-worshipping cult, a group of humans that see the bugs as angels, has set up in the nearby town of Venetian Isles. The problem is that that's where Sam and Clara and their son Martin lived. Sam is an old roughneck, and she used to be one of the big fighters but got injured, and so is kind of semi-retired. But she still helps out when she can. But now she's asking for your help because her wife Clara has, for some reason, been converted to this cult and wants to induct Martin soon. And Sam seems to think this will mean Martin's death somehow. So our heroes traveled through the bayou, then along the highway to Venetian Isles, and they were approached by some acolytes wearing silver hoods and speaking peacefully about the Reverend Louviere, who has brought the good word to the people of Venetian Isles. but immediately our heroes are suspicious. They learned through a ruse, pretending to want to join, that Sam Weatherton is being held prisoner in this town. They snuck into Sam's place, disabled the guards, discovering that the guards, these cultists, have a bug attached to the backs of their heads. Looks a little bit like this, for a picture there. Or if if that's not enough gross body horror, there's one more I gotta share with you. Here you go. So these spider things attach to the back of the head and control the minds of the beings that they are attached to. This is different than the brain slugs. The brain slugs literally just kill the creature and then drive it around like a zombie body car, if you will. These brain head bugs control the human psychically, and they still are living. And if you're not paying attention and being very careful with your observations, you won't even notice that there's anything wrong with these people, except for the fact that they kind of seem okay with the bugs being here, which itself is unusual. So our friends have met Sam Weatherton. Sam has entreated them to please find Clara and Martin and save Martin. She's concerned that Clara might be a lost cause, but she isn't certain. And she knows that the ritual to induct her son Martin is happening tonight at the temple on the other side of town. So our intrepid heroes are in the house with Sam Weatherton at one end of town. Outside is a cultist who is patiently awaiting them to walk out of one of the other houses where she believes they are using the bathroom. They are not. They snuck across the street to the other house and are speaking to Sam. And so our heroes must find their way across town to the temple to save Martin and perhaps find out what has become of Clara before Martin is inducted. Now, who are our intrepid heroes, you ask? Well, let's go ahead and meet first players and then characters. Pronouns, characters. Tell us a little bit about your character's personality. We had the opportunity to explore those very interesting characters 2-3 weeks ago. So let's get to know them again. Going around, let's start with Char. It's why don't you while you speak, I will display a few of the lovely bits of layout that you did for this adventure.
Oh, thank you. I am Charlotte Irrgang. I am one half of the Irregardless Design Studio, and then I did the design for this. Was actually my second adventure I ever designed with the author Stephen Seibert, and I am playing Carter Moses McManus, and he is he's definitely a doctor. He's really good at doctoring, particularly with like booze and cocaine. That's how I roll.
Excellent. So I look forward to seeing more of the doc. Definitely not just a vet, a real human doc, right?
Yeah. As far as you know.
As far as you know, right? Hey, painkillers work all the same. They're all mammals, right? All right. Elijah, would you tell me about yourself first, of course, and then your character?
I am Elijah. I use he, him pronouns. I am an Odawa transgender man, and I do comics. And I am playing Waylon Banks. He is on his own, sort of resilient survivalist, and we've learned that he has a way of being very, very good at telling people something that will surprise them by just shining lights in their faces and just making sure that everyone is paying attention to him instead of whatever stupid shit the rest of everyone else is doing. So we're really good at that. We're going to keep doing that.
It's worked so far. Sharang, would you tell us about Travis?
Yeah.
Or yourself first, of course.
Yeah. So my name is Sharang Biswas. I am a game designer and writer and artist based in Manhattan. And I am playing Travis Alexander, a mad wacko who fights dirty. We learned last week that he likes, that he is he has a different personality from what you would expect for a regular human being to have. He also likes sticking his tongue out and saying his teammates' names very loudly. And he likes fighting dirty. He likes doing cool fighty things. And and apparently has a history of peeing uncontrollably around these guys, which became a plot point. Which became a plot point last week. So never think that your character backstories do not become plot points.
Yes, that was a key move that he had to that he had to go to the bathroom and cover while his party members slipped into Sam's house. Right? It's just a thing, you know. Andrew, tell me about yourself and then your character Gunnar.
I'm Andrew Masisko, he/him pronouns. I'm a illustrator and cartoonist, and I'm playing Gunnar Nash, who is a sharp-eyed soldier who hunts bugs. And what can I say about him? He likes his guns, he keeps them close, and he likes his teammates closer. So he definitely kind of like the Papa Bear of the group, wants to make sure everyone's safe.
Yeah, a little bit. And just to remind everyone, we are playing Cypher System, so why don't we go ahead. One thing I forgot, Sharang luckily reminded me when he introduced his character, was have everyone say their adjective, noun, who, verbs, right? The descriptor for your character. So just so that we get those out there too, Carter Moose McManus, what do you want to say a word about you? Your catchphrase?
So Carter Moose McManus is an earnest sawbones who works miracles with medicine. And if you notice, that's not a normal cipher type. Stephen had actually made some custom types that are like essentially flavored. So you've got the type and then you've got the flavor of whatever. And that's all defined in the book.
Right, yes, because Bug Hunt is not just an adventure, it's also a setting. So it's got rules for custom types as well as ciphers and other fun stuff. All right, so that is Carter Moose. Or Moses are we going by? That's right, Carter Moses McManus.
I like Moses.
I like Moses too. All right, and Elijah, tell us Waylon's tag.
I actually worked into what I was saying before, but
Oh, yeah, you did. You did.
Do you want me to do it anyway?
Sure, let's just get it
Okay.
out there. Sorry.
Waylon Banks is a resilient survivalist who lives in the wilderness.
That's right. And Travis is, you said this one.
Oh yeah, Travis is a mad wacko who fights dirty.
Right. And lastly, Waylon Banks. Oh, no, I did Waylon. My bad. Is Gunnar Nash.
Yeah, Gunnar Nash is a sharp-eyed soldier who hunts bugs.
Fantastic. All right. Excuse me. So I suppose we are ready to resume the bug hunt. All right.
Yeah.
So you are in Sam Weatherton's home. Sam Weatherton's home is at the northwest corner of the Venetian Isles community. This is a planned community that has been dug up out of the bayou, and there are these nice little strips of residences, probably built a few decades ago, but since there's been, an apocalypse, things aren't looking as well maintained. About half to 2/3 of the houses are standing vacant. Some of them are collapsed and in great states of disrepair. Some of them are perfectly fine, just empty. On this street, there's maybe 6 or 7 houses. There are maybe 2 or 3 that are occupied, including the one that has Sam inside. You've slipped in, disabled the guard that was inside. I believe there might still be one guard outside who's unknown, does not realize that anything's going on inside. Mm-hmm. Across the street and a house down, I forget the NPC's name that I made up on the spot.
Sarah? I think her name was Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah. Clearly, that's exactly right. That's planned.
Obviously.
I need to make. I'm always bad about making notes about that. Anyway, Sarah is down the street, standing in her silver robes. She's an acolyte of the Children of Argent, which is the name that this group of cultists, or rather devotees, have given themselves. And so she is waiting to take the group to meet the Reverend Louviere, who is at the temple. So you're inside the house. There's a front door with a guard standing there, oblivious. There's a back window and door that you kind of snuck in, and so you can go back out. There's Sarah in the street, or across. Of course, out the back yard is the bayou, right? So you could. I think there's one of the houses here has a dinghy, like a little rowboat. You could kind of slip away in. You can walk down the street. The other side of town is where the temple is. It's an hour or two probably before this alleged induction event occurs. What would you like to do?
So, as a recap, I killed the guard inside, and then we trapped its brain bug in a bowl or something, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
A vase or something like that, yeah.
So you have a brain spider, one of these head bugs, they are sometimes called.
Yeah.
And so you've got one of these trapped in like a Tupperware, right?
Yeah.
It's a lovely Tupperware with a matching lid. A floral pattern.
Oh my god, wait, are you sure? Because finding a matching lid is hard even before the apocalypse.
That is the miracle.
Can we roll for it?
Yeah, right. This is a GM intrusion, darn it. There's a matching lid.
Okay.
Oh, no!
So, this is, yeah. Sarah was quite the homemaker. What are you going to do?
So it's just me and Carter, right?
Yes, but I believe the rest of your companions have snuck around as well. Am I wrong?
Oh.
So when we last were doing this, I believe Waylon was still shining a flashlight in faces.
Oh.
So as far as I know, that's where I am.
Okay, so Waylon is out front distracting the guards,
And
acting oblivious.
With Gunner.
Yeah, with Gunner, right?
So Waylon and Gunner
Because-
are out front.
Okay.
Carter and Travis are inside.
So the
Thank you.
question that my character would never ask, but that I'm asking is, should we just go back and continue meeting the Reverend and then make our plan, or do we need to do something now?
If I remember, when you were talking to her last session, she had insisted that she can't leave.
Right, because she's
Right?
listening and everything, yeah.
Yeah, and so it would be better to sneak away and deal with it a different way. Let her stay there.
Okay.
Though now there's a dead body, so you gotta figure that out.
Well, yeah, we hid it so she could hopefully say, I didn't kill him, I have a limp.
Yeah.
Which is false because she can very much kill someone, but okay, so let's try and sneak back.
So we should definitely reunite.
Yeah, I vote for sneaking back towards the house and coming out as though I was peeing or pooping or something.
Oh man, we're escalating now. I'll be like, don't go in there.
Yeah, that's
Two-sided dice.
exactly. That's what we call a major
So,
effect.
can I do something? Can I peer out the window and stare at Sarah and use my understanding power, which is you study a creature and the next time you interact with them, the difficulty of interaction tasks is reduced?
Yes, and that is fine. And does that require a roll, or is this just something? It's just a point spend?
It does not say it requires a roll.
It's an enabler, not an action, or?
Oh, it doesn't say enabler either. It says neither.
Okay. Sure. Since all it does is, let's say you spend the time, so that's what you're investing.
You take your action to use understanding.
Do that to stare, I guess, right? Okay, so I stare at her, and then I'm like, Carter.
I'm like, just get away from the window, and I pull you away.
So, Gunner, let's have Gunner and Waylon make intellect tests. This is going to be, I'm going to say this is standard. So,
Standard?
Target number 6.
Let's do it.
Okay, 2 successes. You see, so to look out to see Sarah, you have to look out the front window, Travis. So
Yeah.
you have guards, 2 guards facing you, Gunner and Waylon, or maybe is it just 1 now? Because it's two outside, 1 inside. So Gunner and Waylon, you see 2 guards looking at you, and Waylon is shining flashlights, saying, "Yeah, we got a flashlight here," and Gunner is basically keeping an eye on Waylon and assessing the situation. You see Travis's face. I can see there's floral. I don't know why I'm making Clara's really just has bad tacky taste apparently. Poor Clara. And Samantha, is the tough roughneck. So Clara has this like floral drapes, hanging.
Hasty, gently wafting curtains.
Yeah. And you see Travis's face stick out and just stare daggers at, or whatever, at Sarah down the street. So they're inside.
We had seen them.
Yeah. The guards don't seem to notice yet, though.
Okay, that's good. Because we had seen them sneak out of the house, and we actually distracted Sarah.
Right.
To make sure she didn't look over in their direction while we crossed the street.
Right, I remember.
So that's good to know that they're not dying there. So we need to make sure that she's distracted enough that she doesn't start questioning how long he's taking in the bathroom.
Right. All right. So Travis is looking out the window. Sam is suggesting that you leave so that she doesn't, so she can kind of cover for you, and but she doesn't feel comfortable leaving because she thinks that will endanger Clara and Martin if she's trying to resist house arrest.
What information did she tell us last time that was important?
She says that there's this Reverend Louviere has set up a shop in the temple, which is kind of a civic building at the other end of town. She says something like this. She says that they are going to probably do the ritual tonight because they've just gotten a shipment in from the factory.
Right. There was a shipment. That's something we could target. But anyway.
So there's a shipment that's come in from the factory, and that's why they're able to hold the ritual tonight.
Did she tell us, or can she have told us where the shipments tend to arrive or are held?
Yes. So they come in. So just beyond the temple, which they are now, the cult is called the Temple of the Angels, is Fort Macomb, which is a kind of decrepit and, well, it had been abandoned, small, like National Guard fort or something, and on the bayou, on like a river. And so they normally get shipments there, and that's where the kind of trucks roll in and deposit crates of supplies. But whenever those shipments come in, then they have a ritual of induction that evening and induct new members. That's supposed to happen in just a few hours. The shipments come from a factory that is called AVM to the west of town.
Okay, so we should try and sneak back if we can, right?
Yeah. So let's sneak back to the house of P, and then we'll reunite and we'll move on from there.
Okay. So here's what needs to happen. Moses and Travis need to make speed checks to see if they can sneak successfully back across the street without Sarah, who's staring at the house they're trying to sneak into, impatiently and confused, noticing, as well as the two guards. Now, Waylon and Gunnar, you, I think, should make intellect checks to successfully distract the guards. And as long as at least one of you succeeds well, and I'm going to say this is a difficult task, you will be able to distract them, and then they won't notice the sneaking either. So Gunnar and Waylon are rolling intellect. Moses and Travis are rolling speed to sneak successfully.
Am I sneaking only against Sarah or also against the two guards?
It depends how well Waylon and Gunnar do. So let's have Waylon and Gunnar roll first.
So I'm spending intellect points for this one.
So yeah, you can spend 3 intellect points to get an effort, which will reduce the difficulty by 1 step. If you have any assets you can use, like, for example, a flashlight shining in their faces.
Ciphers.
Or ciphers if you've got any of those.
Since I was doing that, I didn't know we could add that, and it failed with a final of 3. Would you consider that not failing or no?
You can spend an XP to reroll.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, because
maybe I'll do that.
even the flashlight wouldn't get you to the number you need, because the number you need actually is, is 6. Yeah. So, actually, that would have been high enough.
Do we have to use XP to reroll anyway?
Sure. Let's let the dice decide. I like that.
All right.
Oh, Eugene, did we by any chance, because at the end of last session, did we get any XP awarded at the end of last session?
I thought I said something about this, but let's just say everyone has...
well, since Gunnar was able to do it, do you still want me to do it and spend even more pool and have, no pool left?
Oh, no. If Gunner, well,
Okay.
it depends. Let's see how Gunner narrates it. Tell me, Gunner.
All right.
Because it'll depend. What is he doing to distract? Just one? Both? How does Gunner distract these two guards?
Okay, so we're talking about the guards that are in front of the building,
Yes.
not Sarah?
The two guards that you're facing in front of the building that are
Yeah.
covered, like dealing with the house arrest for Sam. You've got two guards facing you. To your left down the street, Sarah is not looking in your direction. She's looking at the house behind you. And then
The P house.
yeah, the P house. And then in front of you is Sam Weatherton's house.
Okay, so we need to get them to look away from the street, mainly, but not behind the house. Oh boy. Okay, so last time we came up to them in the guise of like looking at the different houses and asking about who was inside there. So they're very adamant about us not getting too close. So, boy, I have cold feet. I don't know what to do. I'm going to have so Gunner, I think, is going to distract them by getting too close, on the guise of like wanting to check out like the house next to it, so away from everybody else. So hopefully distracting and looking in the other direction, like looking at the space between the houses and asking about the house next door. It's like, so we're looking for a potential home here, and Sarah's been nice enough to show us around. What do you say about this house right here? Is anyone living here?
Talking about Sam's house, right?
It would be no, because we already asked about Sam's
Right,
house.
okay.
It's the one next to Sam's house.
Yes.
In the
All right,
opposite
right.
direction
Like,
of the room.
is that's a pretty house? I want to live there.
Right.
Yeah,
And-
that
and-
looks
so
really nice.
The one guard is like, no, you can't. So they're wearing the silver robes, hood up, and one of them says, no, you can't live here. This is the Weatherton's house. You can't.
Yeah, oh, what about the one next door?
Yeah.
How's that one?
So one of them is turning and looking at the house and seems to be distracted. The other one
Yeah.
doesn't give a darn about real estate or you.
Oh no.
So
Housing prices bad here? What's wrong?
yeah, so he, the first one's looking and he is like, well, you see that one right there? That's a good house because if you look in back, they got a nice garden, right? So Matilda used to live there and she tended the garden well. She's got a lot of nice flower bed, but them bulbs, they just keep coming up. I don't know what kinds they are, annuals or something. What's that called, right? And so then this guy's having this conversation with you about like flowers, right? And so distracted. The other guard seems not distracted. Well, Waylon, this is an opportunity for you to.
All right, let's do it. Let me. Oh, how much do I have to spend? Hold on.
I'll remind you now. I posted this in the Roll20 chat because this is our second session for this. You'll have, please take two XP for surviving the bug hunt thus far from last session. So that'll just let you
so I'll
re-roll.
have one left then.
Instead of
Okay.
spending intellect, you could just take your chances with the dice and then re-roll with an XP if you want.
I'll just use XP to roll again so that see what happens.
And I don't think you have done any recovery rolls yet this game.
We did the
Do you want
1
me to try
hour.
doing that?
The 1 hour one. That's right.
Yeah.
We talked about whether we could do them out of order, and I said, yeah, let's do them out of order. It's fine. Just so you know, just in the future, like if your pool gets low, you can do a 1 action recovery or a 10-minute recovery or a 1 hour.
All right, and it is.
Rolls on ya.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to use 3 more. Gets me
All
down
right.
to 7 in my little tiny pool.
Okay, so it was demand. It was.
Wait,
yeah.
So, did you spend effort on the first one or
Yeah.
just on the second one?
Just on both of
On
them
the
so far.
reroll, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if this is official, but we always just let it keep your effort.
Yeah. It's the same. The
Okay,
first
so I don't
roll
have to
we
take it
weren't
out then?
we weren't counting. Yeah, don't double.
It's the
Okay,
same
okay.
action. You're just re-rolling it. So
Yeah.
the effort doesn't apply.
Gotcha.
That's
Okay.
absolutely right.
All right, let's try again.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
Nope.
make you pay twice.
Doesn't work no matter what.
Oh.
Oh no!
Okay. So
You try and talk to him, and he's just bored of you.
So just to be clear, you spent effort.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the thing: are you using your asset of the flashlight?
Yes.
Okay, because that would drop it. I put it as demanding, which is 9, and that drops it 2 steps to 3, and you rolled a 3.
Oh.
Okay. Nice.
So what you're doing is you're trying really hard, and you've got this instrument that's helping you. So this is actually, I mean, like, let's face it. If you're really trying, and you're shining a flashlight in somebody's face, it's a pretty simple task to distract them, wouldn't you say? Most folks succeed doing that, right? So I think that means, So go ahead and narrate what this looks like. What are you saying and doing as you're distracting this guard?
Okay, so since he looks like he's starting to look around and not pay any attention to the housing prices in this sad little community, I am starting to hold my flashlight closer to his face, and I start flicking it off. I'm like, oh, it's already going out. No, I have to go to a store right now. Where is there a store? Can you show me a store, please?
And so the light flashing on and off, this guard is doing like, one of these. And what store? What are you talking about? There's a general, but batteries are pretty rare. That sort of thing. So the guards are distracted. Meanwhile, Moses and Travis have slipped out the back of Sam Weatherton's house without trouble, but the issue is you've got to cross that street. And Sarah's standing there. So Sarah's not looking where you'll be running, but it'll be in her peripheral vision.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm going to cash in my understanding of her.
Right.
Right? Which is the next time I interact with her, the difficulty of data is reduced by 1 step. Because I've been gazing at her, and I've been looking at where, how her pattern of like looking around and things like that.
Yep.
So I'm going to use that to reduce my difficulty by 1 step.
Okay, so this was a difficult task.
Yeah.
Level 4. And so you have to, that would drop it to a demanding task, level 3, which is...
and then I'm going to spend 3 points of speed because it's important. I only have 3 points left of speed.
Boy.
And
it to standard.
And I'm going to...
All right.
And I rolled a 5.
Okay. That is 1 shy of what you needed.
So
Do you want to use...
this is important. So I'm actually going to spend one of my XP.
Okay, I was going to ask that.
I forgot I can't spend 2 effort because I only have 3 points left. Okay.
Also, you're tier 1, so you can only spend 1.
No, I leveled up last time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that was what he increased the effort spent.
And I rolled a 19, minor critical.
All right, so that's going to be a minor effect. Would you like to narrate how it is you almost totally lose it, but manage to pull it off with a plum?
Yeah. Would I? Oh, I know. I am carrying the floral Tupperware with me.
Yes.
Because we want to be able to study or know what this thing is, right? And how to counter it. So I'm like scurrying and I nearly drop it by accident. But I managed to like catch it with my foot and flip it into the air and then grab it. Remember, I fight. I don't fight acrobatically. I fight dirty, but it's the same thing for me. And so I like catch it and then keep scurrying away.
All right. So you, Moses, see Travis bobble this head bug Tupperware. Right? Let's call it the head bug casserole. Gets tossed around. Almost stumble and roll, but manage to just pull it off with extra pizzazz. And I'm going to say that. So we didn't dictate precisely what the minor effect was. So unless I missed it, but let's say that. You dart across the street when Sarah's kind of glancing around, and you make a little bit of noise, but just as you're leaving her line of sight. So you dip behind the house, causing her to look over and then look back. So she's now looking away from the direction that Moses is running. That'll give Moses 1 asset, right?
Nice. Look at us assetting each other.
Yeah, there you go.
Bro.
So your task now is not difficult. It's just demanding to run across the street and to sneak across the street quickly before the cultists can see you. Go ahead, Moses. Would you like to do anything to lower that difficulty further?
As a very brave person, I'm excellent at running.
Woo!
So I'm just gonna like, and then like run as fast as I can.
All right, running is on the list here.
So was what challenging? Did you say?
Well, it's demanding, so it's a 9 or higher.
Okay.
Unless you, but I mean, if you're trained in it, it will be 1 level down. So 17, no problem.
Right.
Nice.
All right, so with ease, Moses and Travis get across the street. You are now behind the house that Travis allegedly had to take a pit stop in. And Sarah's standing outside, and you now, as you're just arriving behind that house, you can hear her knocking on the front door, going, "Is everything okay in there? Do you need? Is there no toilet paper, maybe?"
In the bathroom, I am going to splash my trousers with water.
All right.
Because I'm a bit odd, but I'm not stupid, right? I have a 16 intellect. So yeah, I splash myself with water. It might be one of the highest intellect in the party, right? It's up there, 16, I think, right? Yeah. So yeah, I splash myself with water so that it looks like I had an accident or something. And I loudly say, "Carter, accident!" From
Oh my God! How many times do you have to go when you go?
And I was like, sorry, Carter. Ah!
Right. All right.
Just
Well,
like hear us inside.
So you are, yes, absolutely. So you are now inside the house. You've kind of climbed in the back window or door, however you left, and you have shouted, and you're now ready to head back out.
Yeah. So I head back out with a sheepish expression on my face.
So you had, yeah.
And I can put the Tupperware in my bags and stuff.
Yeah. So you've got packs and equipment. So you slide this Tupperware into your bag, and the head bug seems to be dead, but it occasionally spasms.
Who knew we needed to poke air holes in it?
All right, is it airtight Tupperware? Oops.
So it is in the pack. And you come out, and Sarah's standing there, and she looks down at you and says, "Is everything okay?
Dad."
Okay, well, maybe after you've become a member, we could, you could visit the city and visit. You might need to have your prostate checked."
And I look at her, and I'm like, "Ooh, doctor."
I'm a doctor, but I'm not looking at prostate.
And I smile at you and hug you.
Oh, you're damp.
And she says, "I guess at this point I should mention that though the Reverend in our community are very accepting, sometimes the Reverend deems some folks not suitable to join." I'll just
and I narrow my eyes at her and I say, "Discrimination."
"Oh no. We are a meritocracy here."
And I narrow my eyes and I fold my arms and give her a stink eye look.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Travis. We'll get you in.
And I beam at you.
So Sarah is now, she turns around and says, Now, you two, come. And she's shouting over to Gunnar and Waylon, "It's time to go meet the Reverend." And the guards are, suitably distracted, now look and see that Sarah is calling you, and "Go on, get," they say to you two.
Pleasure talking to you.
About floral beds and stuff.
Yeah.
And they, this whole time the conversation has been, the guards are clearly on, doing their due diligence and are alert, but they do seem weirdly kind of pleasant. Like, okay, yes, go now. It's time for you to go. Go ahead, yes.
Just to remind everyone that last session I had activated my bug sense Cypher.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't remember if you had said anything last time about me getting close to these guys. If I had felt anything Yeah.
Oh yeah. So,
Okay.
that's
Is
right.
anything bugging you?
Yeah, something is definitely bugging you. So, for those watching at home, this is set in the near future. There are ciphers, which in a fantasy setting might be like magical items, but this is a more realistic and gritty environment. So you have subtle ciphers, which give you boosts and kind of extra skills or kind of insight or a little oomph. And so Gunnar has activated one called Bug Sense, in which you just get a kind of intuition when you encounter anything that's related to the bugs. This is one that comes in the setting, and you just get the willies. You get that uncomfortable feeling when you are around any of these people in these silver hoods. The cultists all are definitely buggy.
It's weird because I probably haven't interacted with like people who like itch me back the wrong way.
Except the only other exception is the slug zombies, the ones you met at Hosea's shack. But they were so visibly when you got close to them, they were so
zombie-like.
They were obviously.
They looked kind of corpse-like, and they weren't able to. They were obviously something wrong with them.
Remember we tried speaking with them and they just said the same word. Like one of them had shrieking in my face, remember? And stuff like that. Well, I shrieked in her face first. But,
Right. They definitely were not. You didn't need any sort of special cipher to say there's something wrong with these people. But these cultists are acting seemingly human, but they are definitely setting off your spidey sense, so to speak. Spiders aren't bugs.
Buggy sense.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Spiders aren't bugs. They're arachnids, but whatever.
It's all right.
I think bug is all-encompassing, including various, like, annelids and nematodes and all kinds of things.
Yeah, fair. So it's not an insect sense. It's a bug sense. Yeah.
All right, so I'm feeling weird around all of them. So I guess we leave those two guards and get back to Sarah and our companions.
Absolutely. So that's right. She says, all right, well, if you're ready, I'd like to take you to meet the Reverend now.
Sure.
So
Eugene, can I use the walk to the Reverend as a 10-minute rest?
Yeah, I think that's fair. Let's say, because it's a casual walk, especially if you drag your feet and take your time enjoying the town.
And asking questions about, the town and things.
Yeah, and for a little while, she's kind of playing like community, tour guide, right? She's apparently her role here is to, at the time, is to play the guest services sort of role, where she's introducing you to the town, hoping that you'll join their loving community of light and goodness. So you walk across Venetian Isles. So everyone, just to be clear, if you don't know, you can make a 10-minute recovery roll now, which will give you your some of your points back. So there's a button to do so on your sheet, and you're doing the 10-minute rest, and you can then distribute those points across any of your 3 pools as you see fit, back up to their original maximums.
That's great.
So while you guys are doing that, I'll describe the walk. So the community, just to be clear, is a web of canals, right? And there's homes on the little strips of land that have been artificially built up in between. Many of their houses have little boats out back into these canals. They're mostly unoccupied. Probably there's maybe a couple hundred people who live here, but there could have been 1,000 to 2,000 at one point. So you are approaching what she calls the Temple of Angels. Now, it is nice enough looking town. You do see some other folks walking around, some of them in the silver hoods to represent that they've been inducted, and some, but quite just as many, are just regular folk. And some of them, of both sorts, kind of nod and wave and are friendly. One of them, so I'm going to go ahead and make a GM intrusion on, let's do it with Moses. So as you're walking along, an older man is walking down the street in the other direction. He nods at Sarah, who's leading you. He kind of nods at the rest of you. He's kind of coming your way. He stops for a minute and reaches into his bag and kind of is fiddling as you're walking past. And it just so happens that you're kind of near the back of the pack of people walking, Moses. And so just as you're passing him, he bumps into you. Well, let me ask, are you okay with me giving you a GM intrusion? You can't, this will give you 2 XP, 1 for you, 1 to give to other people. Or should I describe the intrusion first? He's going to bump into you and try and pass you a note.
Do it.
Is it you? Isn't it you, Char?
Yeah.
Do it.
Do it. All right. So so this older man, he's wearing like a sweaty, sleeveless, kind of t-shirt and some board shorts and some boots with no socks that are kind of loose. He's kind of flumping down the street, and he goes, "Oh, excuse me," and he shoves a crumpled note into your hand, looking around furtively, and then gives you a meaningful look, and then kind of keeps walking.
So I grab the note, kind of, tuck it away, and I pat it. No worries, my friend. We all got to stick together these days.
And Sarah turns around and says, "What, Mortimer? Are you bothering our new guests?"
Oh, no bother. He just wasn't looking where he was going, and, it happens.
She kind of narrows her eyes at both of you. Say, that Mortimer's been difficult lately.
I wouldn't call that difficult.
And he kind of sheepishly puts his head down and tries to shuffle away.
Honestly, it made me think of the good old days in the grocery stores.
Bumping into rude people reminded you of the grocery stores in the good old days?
He wasn't rude. He said, "Excuse me."
Bumping into polite people.
Bumping into people at all. Like there's so few people left.
Bump, 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 bump.
So at this point, she nods, saying, "Well, that's one of the good," and switches back into her tour guide mode, right? "Well, that's one of the nice things about Venetian Isles. You can just bump into your neighbors every day out in the street, and everyone's so friendly. In fact, just the other day," and then she launches into this anecdote about how she has been, trading barbecue recipes with the neighbor down the street and this sort of thing. And you're like, okay.
I'm gonna give my extra XP to Waylon.
All right. All right. So you have a crumpled note in your hand. You haven't been able to read it yet. So you're going to keep walking. Is there anything anybody else would like to do before you arrive at the Temple of Angels?
Yeah, I'm just going to quickly use my action healing as well.
Okay.
I'm going to use all my healing up because I'm low.
So yes, you can do a 1-action recovery too, because you haven't done that. You get the one action, the 10 minutes, the 1 hour, the 8 hours, and you've used all of them. You've used the 1 hour and the 10 minutes now. If you want to use the action, you can, or you can save it. That's up to everybody.
I want to hang back when Travis is being weird, so hang behind him and check out the note while we're walking, so I know what it says before we get to the place with even more people.
All right. So it's hastily scrawled on the back of an old receipt, and it looks like a receipt from a hardware store. And the note says, "Get out. Leave."
Okay. Rude. So he was rude.
Well, the look on his face suggested he was fearful.
Oh, that kind of get out. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Not get out, newbies, or xenophobia.
No, it was more like,
"In my houses, that's the best real estate."
yeah, it was more like, "Get out while you can."
Right. Okay. Perfect. On the way, can I keep an eye out for this truck stop or a supply area that Sam had mentioned?
Sure. So I'll go ahead and describe as you approach the temple, because you'll be able to see it. It's actually beyond the temple. On the south side of the highway. So if you look at the map that actually I had showed earlier, where did I put it? Here it is. This bad boy. Don't look too carefully at all the secrets, but you can see in the zoom there's a map of the town, and over on the left you have Sam's home, and as you walk back down to that red bar, which is the main drag through town, that's actually the highway you walked into town on, the Chef Maltar Highway. And at the far end of that is the Temple of Angels, and a little beyond that is Fort Macomb. So on the south side of the highway is a complex. It's got a handful of guards out front, and they're actually holding rifles. So they're a little more heavily armed and serious here. And it's a kind of this is this city center building, but a little beyond, you can see on the eastern edge of the community, there's this historic fort called Fort Macomb, and it's like 150 years old or something, and it's quite deteriorating. It's got an old fence that's beaten up around it, and the road kind of goes into it. You can see inside of it, beyond this closed metal, like 8-foot, 10-foot chain link fence gate, there is a truck, a small truck, sitting in there. It says AVM on the side, and it's a kind of modest, a building, kind of warehouse looking place, and there's several armed acolytes, if you will, walking around this highway entrance as well. And that is a little further, but it's a 5-minute walk from the temple, perhaps, as opposed to the 15-minute walk it's been about from Sam's house, or 10-minute walk to the temple. Not far. And then the highway continues past the fort across a bridge over a kind of lazy, murky river. So you're arriving at this temple. And as you approach, there's 2 guards standing out front holding rifles, and Sarah says, "Greetings, brethren, and sistren. What is the word for that? Sistren?
Sistren.
Yeah. Greetings, fellows. These are some new guests who have arrived who wish to join our happy family." And they stand there and look at you and nod and go, "Welcome."
It's real nice here. Lots of people.
And they say, "Yeah, it's great." So they look you over and say, "Well, I see you're." One of them says, "I see you're armed there. I'd like to." I meant the weapons.
And I look quizzically at Gunnar.
It's pretty dangerous out there.
Oh, we don't deny it. That's why we are so happy to have found Venetian Isles in this community, because it's safe. And the reason we're safe is because we know the bugs, as you call them, are our friends. And so they're friendly to us, too, you see. It's a two-way street. Now, I'll tell you, though, we don't like you pulling out those sorts of things in the temple. So I'm going to ask you to be peaceful. I'll come with you.
Of course.
My name is Kelvin. Let's go. And Sarah says, "Yes, come, Kelvin. We'll meet the Reverend if he's available." And then the other guard runs in ahead to kind of announce and see if the Reverend is available. You enter the grounds, and there's no formal fence. It's just because this is more of, like I said, a civic building, and it's a large kind of, maybe it was once a city hall or something. You walk in, and there's a big atrium. There's a few people milling about, and beyond is some sort of assembly hall, which is converted to look like a place of worship. And there's a few people in there that seem to be in some form of prayer. Of course, it's been totally renovated such that you don't see, there's no signs of worship. There's no, alcove indicating Mecca. There's no cross, nothing like that. It's all been cleared out. Instead, there's a kind of just a light, a bright light on the far wall that they're kind of facing. And out of a vestibule. Say what?
Y'all got electricity in here?
They look at you and say, "Well, yeah, we got electricity. This is a civilized town."
Wow.
I mean, it's from the generators out back, and we only use it when it's dark and we need to be in here at night. But right now, if you're asking about the light, well, yeah, I mean that needs to shine. That needs to be on at all times. That's the light of the angels. That's one of the reasons why we're the children of Argent.
Good to know.
And he this is Calvin you're talking to now. It tries to explain that these are important to him or to their beliefs. So
I have knowledge of the bugs. Can I rifle through my memory to see if this is are these bugs like phototactic or something? This light, is it important in some biological way?
Sure. Go ahead and make an intellect check.
And I have one asset for my skill. I rolled a 10.
Okay. So a 10 would be demanding. All right. So, no, it's not actually anything you've ever encountered, anything to do with light. But so Calvin says, yeah, the light represents when the angels are communing with us, right? You'll see, right? It's important. It's through the light that we connect.
Okay.
To the Mother of Angels. All right. So, Calvin is standing there explaining this to you, and then out from... Do I have a... I don't. All right. So out from the side room, like a vestibule off the side, emerges a man. And this is, you can tell immediately, must be the Reverend Louvier. And he says, so this voice says, he says, oh, we have guests. Welcome. I am the Reverend Louvier, and I am the leader of the Children of Argent. I am delighted to welcome you to our lovely community here of Venetian Isles. I've only been here a few months, but it has been a marvel. I certainly welcome you here, and I hope that you would like to join our community. That's what I've been told, at least. Why don't we come on in and sit down and have a talk? And he kind of gestures for you to follow him into an office. Calvin kind of turns and begins to walk alongside of you. Sarah nods and says, yes, Reverend, these are the ones that you've heard about. We've got... So you introduced all of yourselves, but I don't remember if you used your real names when you did.
I would have followed whatever Gunnar did. Did Gunnar use his real name?
Would you like to have? We don't need to remember. Just decide now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like our identities matter really.
Right, you're right.
So, yeah.
Our identities database.
Yeah, no one's going to steal your credit card anymore.
No.
All right.
Yes, we at least Gunnar would have just said his name.
So these are Moses and Gunnar and Travis and Waylon. They've just arrived out of the bayou. Oh, marvelous. Come on in. And he brings you in, and you walk in, and there's a desk. This is clearly some sort of office. You suspect at one point this might have been like a mayor's office or something. So he walks around the desk and sits down. Again, all the paraphernalia of civic society or a church or whatever this building used to be has been removed, and it is actually quite austere. Although you do notice there are quite a few, let's say, valuable pieces of art or mementos of a mix of a variety of different sorts kind of along the shelves on one wall. Perhaps a collection of offerings from people in town. He sits down and gestures. There's only 2 chairs there, but he says, please, come on in. If those of you who are tired, take a load off. The rest of you, I can have Sarah, please, or Calvin, bring more chairs if you need it. Would you like anything to drink? We have some sweet tea. We've also got some coffee. It came into some chicory lately, so it's properly made New Orleans coffee. Anything you'd like?
I say coffee.
Yes, you look
Take
like
some
you
of
could
that
use
tea.
some
I
tea.
had sugar for a long time.
Right. Well, we do have some sugar cane that we've found that we've been able to cultivate, or at least we've arranged to have cultivated, let's say. What about you two? Looks at Gunnar and Waylon.
Probably sounds fair.
Waylon, would you like something? All right. Very well. Kelvin, please get 2 coffees and a tea. The good stuff, please. Yes,
So
Reverend.
I'm still like high and very like jittery, and so I'm not gonna sit.
Okay. So Moses is like pacing across the back of the room. So if one of you waits, Calvin and Sarah bring a chair. The 3 of you who want to sit can sit, and the Reverend sits back.
I like flip it over and then I squat on the chair.
Flip it so that you're squatting
So
at
the back is facing.
Yeah, right. You're kind of doing one of these.
I don't also I like squat on it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you take up an odd position on
Did we take like 15 minutes last time discussing how we all sit on different chairs and things?
And we might have. Yeah, and at the head in the cliffs.
Yeah. But we spent a significant amount of time discussing our seating.
Well, don't forget though, that was
That's how we
Numenera.
roleplay.
Yeah, that's true.
This is an important part of our roleplay. And also, Numenera, those were not regular chairs. They were Numenera
Right.
chairs, right? So they were like weird, organic,
chairs.
moldy beanbags and stuff, right? So these are just chairs, you know. These are just plain old plastic chairs, wooden chairs. So you sit, and the Reverend sits back, steeples his fingers, and says, "So tell me, what really brings you here to Venetian Isles?"
That's the gunner question.
So,
Yeah.
while you're doing that, go ahead and everybody, let's see here.
How am I feeling right now?
How are you feeling?
Do I sense anything?
So
Oh,
yeah.
right, you're bug sensey, yeah.
So go ahead and make you in particular, everyone can make an intellect test
Okay.
or task, I guess I should
Oh.
say.
Is this seeing through deception by any chance?
We could call it that, sure.
Cool.
Okay. So I have, well, it all depends on if I sense
So
anything with him.
in your case, let's go ahead and count that. Don't worry, it's going to be an effect, but for this particular role, this is something specific. Count that as an asset.
Okay.
So your
Yeah,
bug
because I was also because I also have like tracker and hunter, which is like whenever I'm interacting with my chosen foe,
Okay.
the task is decreased by 1 step.
So
So
yeah.
I don't know if that's double or.
So
if that's,
the
like,
difficulty,
one or
I'm
the
going to leave the difficult. Well, let's go ahead. I'll tell you No, I want to leave it secret.
Yeah.
Okay,
I rolled a
so I
16.
will just roll.
I rolled a 16 with my seeing through deception asset.
So that's one asset. Okay.
We're just rolling without knowing, right?
Yeah, you're rolling without knowing.
Sounds good.
Alright.
There we go. I got a 9.
A 9, a 10, a 16, and a 13. Okay.
So I'm actually my perception tasks are eased from this cocaine I took last time.
So you have one asset as well.
Yes.
Okay. So short answer is unfortunately no. That was not enough for anybody.
Oh, okay.
Damn.
So, however, that was for something in particular. You all get the impression that he's looking at you very carefully, and Gunnar, you do get the impression that there's something about him that's off, but he does not seem the same as the cultists.
Oh.
He doesn't ping the same way as them.
Right,
Okay.
but there's something about him that's off. But no, he's
Yeah.
not like currently a bug or something, right?
All right.
The others feel not as much fully like the zombies are this is just like fighting an ant warrior.
Yeah.
These cultists feel like a hybrid. This person just feels he's got a flavor, but it's not the same.
Okay.
So
So he asked us what we're doing here.
Yep.
So Gunnar plainly smiles at him and says, "Well, we've spent a lot of time out there in the wilderness, in the swamp, and it's been rough. And we heard about this place and how people are living in decent houses, acting normal like the old days, and we wanted to check it out and see if it was true, and hopefully get to settle down if that works out, and just kind of, find a real home."
all right. So go ahead and make an intellect test because this is deception.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see how you do.
Okay.
Can I assist by describing how a friend of ours died that like shocked us into coming here?
Sure, that seems reasonable. I think that would count as an asset. Go ahead and describe
I'm
it.
really good at describing people dying because I have killed many people.
Sure.
I describe. I'm not going to describe it. I just describe a
Right.
friend of ours dying a gruesome death.
Gruesome wildlife death, probably.
Yeah, let's stay away from the bug deaths.
Yeah, I talk about like a crocodile. We're in we're in Louisiana, right? No crocodiles there.
I
Whatever is native to Louisiana, I talk about some like snake bite death or something. Yeah.
Yeah, there could be some alligators, I believe, but
Oh, perfect. Okay.
An abandoned python that used to be a pet.
that's
Yeah,
exact-
it got ravenous and strangled a friend.
So the Reverend gets this empathetic look on his face. He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that." Now, Gunnar, go ahead and make
And I shake my head and I'm making this person up, right? So I'm gonna say his name was Pete. So I'm like Pete.
Oh, that's all right, my son. I understand. Loss is a difficult thing. That's why we come together.
What difficulty do you want me to put down for this?
Well, okay, since
Or do you want me to keep it?
Well, I'll go ahead. So, social interactions with this character are formidable. That's
Ooh.
21.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's why you weren't able to
Right.
Yeah.
succeed on the previous, let's call it, roll to determine what his motive was, necessarily. To deceive him, you have to beat a 21, but you have an asset, so you have to beat an 18 unless you want to spend effort or you have anything that's related skill-wise.
Well, I got tracking. I mean, it's kind of tough because I don't know if I'm getting something weird off of him, but it's not.
Yeah.
I don't know if it counts as like the tracker hunter.
I mean,
hunter.
let's say yes, it does.
Okay. All right. So that would lower it down another one.
Okay, so that
Correct.
lowers it from
Challenging.
intimidating to challenging. That's 15 you're at now. And this is before you've spent any effort.
That is true, and I think I will spend effort.
Okay, so that drops it to difficult. 12. from
This is
21.
big now. Difficult task.
Did I do that right? Oh
Um,
my.
you rolled an 11, right?
Oh my gosh.
Right.
So
Okay, so
you can spend XP.
yeah, I think I'm gonna have to.
And
I
try
kind of
again.
want to make sure this guy is.
Does anybody else want to
Okay.
throw any more assets in there? Because you can add up to 2. I don't know what they would be. Check your ciphers.
I have psychic backlash. I know that's gonna happen.
Yeah, let's hurt him. Let's hurt him.
The only other one I have is a Molotov cocktail, which I think also isn't going to help in the situation.
That's
I mean,
one
what if you could just say something in support, right? Like describe
Yeah.
a hardship or something, right? Because you're a doctor, right? So you might be able to like talk about some like disease we got.
Oh yeah. So I'll be like, can you believe there's yellow fever in the United States now? Jesus, as if the mosquitoes weren't bad enough.
Oh,
Yeah,
God, yellow
I'll
fever.
bug spray here. I'm not, for you guys, for the mosquitoes.
bug spray, right? Huh. So
That went over fantastic. Thanks.
yeah, I don't know. Normally, let's go ahead and have you roll an intellect test just to see if this is an asset or not.
Oh boy. Thanks.
Let's say this one is demanding, right? You're not really trying to defeat this guy. It's not clear. I'm not sure how you'll deliver talk of bug spray right now. Let's go ahead and hear how that goes. Let's roll a 9 or higher, and it'll count
Maybe it's
as
murder hornets.
okay, a 9. So it counts as an asset, which drops Gunner's reroll down to 9 also. So you now have a demanding task before you. As you begin to speak, Reverend kind of arches an eyebrow as though he's not sure he believes you. Moses chimes in, talking about the yellow fever and mosquitoes. Let's see how you...
Pythons, yellow fever. There's so much out there.
It's a tough
All right, I'm gonna make the roll.
Let's see how Gunner can
Don't
pull it
forget
off. Or not.
your effort is still in effect.
Right. So
All
difficulty...
right, so my effort. Yeah.
You have a 9. Yeah, 9 or higher is the number. 18.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
All right.
Okay.
You would have gotten it without our help.
Yep, so that is enough with all of those assets, effort, etc., ciphers going on, everything. You got all in here. So he sits back, his eyebrow drops, and he nods and says, "Friends, I've heard this story before. Many of those you see walking our streets now have come looking for refuge and shelter. Because, you see," he starts doing the politician hand. He says, You see, the world out there is a harsh and difficult place because most people don't understand. They've been fighting against the good news that's come to us. See, these aliens, they're not aliens. They've come from God. These are angels that have sent to lift us up. And just like it says in the good book, all you have to do is accept. Have faith. And it sounds to me like you four are ready to take that step. So I will formally invite you to join our community at Venetian Isles. I'm delighted to tell you that we are having an induction ceremony this evening in which several of our members of the community who have decided to join will be inducted formally into our ranks, like the brother Calvin and sister Sarah here you see. And I invite you to attend that ceremony, and after a few weeks, you too can be inducted. We'd like to give you a little bit of time to get to know the community and the community to get to know you, but please, do be sure you attend tonight. And until then, Sarah and Calvin will make sure you get settled in some homes. We've got plenty of lovely homes here, all waterfront property here. Lovely homes. And they'll make sure.
Just looking at the homes earlier. Very, very nice.
Sarah nods and it's like backing you up in support. And she kind of like, yeah, that's right. They Travis in particular seemed to take a shine to one of them. And,
the pea house.
Yeah,
right.
the one that you spent quite a bit of time inside, right? Right. The pea house. So he sits back and he's nods like, well, I am delighted to have you join our community. So if there is anything else I can do to help you out?
Yeah, I wouldn't ask anything.
Just that tea.
Yes, of course. And then right around this time, Calvin comes in, holding a tray with 4 drinks on it, 2 teas and 2 coffees, and he starts handing them the coffees to Travis and Gunnar, a tea to Moses, and then he takes the tea for himself and starts drinking it, and the Reverend looks up at him, and then he puts the tea back down and walks out.
Yeah.
Interesting.
If we'd love to be there for this induction ceremony tonight. Until then, can we just take in the town, wander around, see what life's going to be like once we're settled in?
Well, I mean, let's. He says, "Well, I'll tell you what. I do want to ask you one more question. Let me be clear here before you commit to joining our community. I have said, and my companions here have said, that we see the bugs as angels. Now that might come as a surprise to you because many people out there think they're devils. But how do you feel about joining a community that has seen the light and knows the truth? Are you willing to accept these visitors, not as threats, but as benefactors? Are you okay with that? Because if you are welcome."
I'm willing to listen.
All right. Well, that's all I'm asking for. He looks at the others and makes sure nobody protests. You've already succeeded at the roll, so that was what that was for.
Yeah.
But he just wants to make it clear.
Gunnar has a hard time lying about that. He hates those. So,
Yeah, I figure we're willing to give him a chance. We'll see how the week goes. I mean, maybe this was all just one big misunderstanding.
See, that's what I like to hear. People with open minds.
Yeah. And psychic backlash.
Right. And he says, that's all I'm asking for. People with open minds. That's right. So, you are welcome to attend. When you see when you hear the bell, you will know the bell, and it's a holy bell. You will hear it inside your mind, and it will tell you that it's time to come to the temple.
Cool.
Psychic backlash. Great.
All right. So he kind of stands and says, "Well, thank you very much, and welcome to our community." Kelvin, Sarah, show our new guests, our new residents, to some homes for them, if you excuse me. And he kind of turns and begins to work with some papers on his desk and pays you no further mind. Calvin and Sarah try to usher you out. Is there anything else you'd like to do in the temple before you are ushered out and shown your lovely new homes in the Venetian Isles housing community?
Did we want to
He's
see
gonna walk
the
out
actual
with this
temple?
glass.
So what did you say, Moses? You want to give him the glass? You want to keep the glass? Or...
Yeah, I'm gonna keep the glass. I'm gonna like kind of pretend to be sipping it on my way out.
All right. It is sweet tea, and it's good. Coffee's pretty good, too, if you like chicory in your coffee. For some
Is that
reason.
a thing in Louisiana?
It's okay. Yeah,
Yeah, it
it's a
is.
way to. Yeah, it's spicy.
It's a,
I
yeah.
do not drink coffee, so I actually do not. Okay, great.
It's basically like a way that you can add chicory to like existing coffee if you want to kind of like drag it out so you can have it longer, or you can just have straight up chicory as a replacement for coffee.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
Yeah, if you go to cafes in New Orleans, you have the option of eating chicory coffee.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's I myself, not for me, but hey, everyone has their thing.
But listen, if it were the apocalypse, I'd
Oh
drink
yeah,
it.
you want that stuff.
Yeah, with a beignet, hell yes. All right. So yeah, I love New Orleans. So all right, so they show you out. If you want to get a glimpse into the temple, you can. It's actually really austere. Like I said, there's just chairs. There seems to be a place up front for people to gather, and like a dais, like a raised area where the reverend would speak from, and there's a kind of a lamp in the back that's hanging up. That's just a sphere of light. Looks like a lamp. It looks conventional, but it's on a bright light and kind of illuminating the space. Otherwise, there's doors in the back that kind of go to vestibules or supply closets or something. It looks pretty. It looks well maintained.
I asked one of our guides, is this where the ceremony will be held?
Calvin says, yeah, that's where we conduct the induction ceremonies. We'll be doing that. Well, actually, wait a minute. Let me make sure I got this right. Yes, that's right. He says, yeah, that's where it happens every week. We meet here and have our normal ceremonies, and periodically we get to induct new members. So after we get our shipment of supplies, we hold a special ceremony in which we welcome new members into our organization, and that's going to happen tonight. I'm very excited to say. You be sure to join.
Oh, of course. When were you inducted?
Oh, it's been a few weeks now. I was one of the early converts to the Reverend's wisdom. So I'd say 6 weeks, maybe. He's been here about 2 months.
Nice.
The Mother of Angels guides us all. So you
Angels.
you take care. Sarah says, all right, if everyone's ready to pick their new homes.
We should pick the P house because close to Sam's house.
That's true.
yeah.
Do we each get a house, or are we?
like open the windows? Because
There was a major effect there. That's true. Yeah, you can. So she says, well, if you seem to really like that house, spent quite a bit of time in there, although she glances down at your now dry pants, even though the air is sticky and humid, it still has evaporated and dried up. She says, but unless you have some sort of preference against that house, I can show you back to that house on that lovely street, although...
he just got excited. Like, he came out of the bathroom like 4 times. And he got excited every time because there's like this doily that he just really likes, and it's right above this painting or below this painting. I don't even know my ups and downs.
Lace.
She says,
So, and then he had to go right back in like 4 times, and the last time he was too slow.
at this, she nods and says, that reminds me, if you'll excuse me, I need to let the Reverend know something. Kelvin, if you could keep an eye on our guests, I'll be right back. And then she turns back in and walks, and you hear like muttered voices as she's like, you get the impression that she's kind of explaining a little bit more about her time with you four. and the Reverend is, nodding and listening and talking. You can kind of see through the door, and kind of looks over at you all.
Can I try and listen to what she's saying more closely?
Sure, do an intellect task to see if you can kind of eavesdrop.
Oh, I fail.
Okay.
I got a 3.
Yeah, you get the impression that she's just you get the impression that she's talking about
Us.
your eccentricities, but you don't know the details of what she says. And he's kind of nodding and looking kind of okay at you all. All right, but she comes back out, and she's basically... So at this point, you have an hour before the ceremony's scheduled to take place. Is there anything you'd like to do in this intervening hour to prepare for attending this event, this induction ceremony?
I mean, I was hoping to break into the supply thing and either destroy or poison the stuff that they brought, that they got from for the ceremony. Because I suspect it's these things I show you once we're in the house, right? The bugs.
Okay. So we're back in the house. We're in the house.
Yeah.
And
Let's say
we're catching each other.
Yes.
Yeah, so
that's what I was about to ask.
I can tell you about that, and I suspect what they're bringing in is these things, and I'm saying to me poison them or something. I have poison.
That makes sense. Well, that's what was it Kevin? Kevin said that every time there's a new shipment that comes in, they have one of these induction ceremonies.
Yeah.
So
he didn't say
that
what.
Makes sense.
Yeah, he didn't say what comes in. He just says
no.
Right.
Yeah.
One of these.
But
trucks.
like,
an hour enough for that. That's the question.
Yeah. I've been feeling everybody here's, kind of rubbing me the wrong way, but I couldn't figure it out. So it might be this. It might be that all of the members of this cult have these. That's what's making them so devoted.
Yeah, I say inside your head.
Yeah.
Can you remind me how long that bug scent cipher lasts?
So 24 hours, if I remember.
Oh.
Let me double check. I think it said we didn't roll because they were we set them up, right?
Yeah, they were
24 hours, for the next 24 hours.
Next 24 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
And does it have a level listed?
No, it does. I don't remember if I made the roll. It says, I'll make the roll.
It might matter. Because the level might tell us something important.
Oh, one of the things it says is if they are hidden, example, bug spiders and head zombies, you recognize the signs immediately. Oh, that's useful.
Yeah. That's what, so you could tell that there's something off of them. You wouldn't know the details, but you'd be like, there's bug influence here. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so I rolled a 4.
Okay. I'm just curious. All right. So, yep. All right. So you catch each other up. If anyone wants to make recovery rolls up to an hour, you can do that. Otherwise, in about an hour, all of a sudden, it's like you were told. You hear a bell ringing, but you don't hear it.
Do we want to quickly try and sabotage the thing before that?
That's
that's the question.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Okay.
Just in case we can't.
All right.
Stop the event. Those things are useful. Yeah.
Also, this is meta, but if we've used up our ciphers, maybe in the storage place we'll find something useful.
Might happen.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you're going to try and sneak into Fort Macomb.
Yes.
All right. So,
is everyone okay with that? Sorry, Moses and Waylon?
Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah.
Good.
So you've got an hour or two to kill. So this is totally doable in that amount of time. It's a 15-minute walk, even when you're trying to be sneaky.
Right.
So
running.
So you now have free reign. Sarah drops you off of the house and says, that house and the house next to it, and say, well, here are some houses. If you decide you want to move in the next week or two, of course you're welcome to. There's plenty of other houses. Blah 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 blah. And she kind of goes on a spiel, and it's like a 5-minute monologue about the various services, and it's a little much. But she finally is like, okay, well, I'll be seeing you tonight at the ceremony, and then she leaves finally, and you're free to compare notes and then to head out towards Fort Macomb. So go ahead and describe how you
What time of
get
day is
there.
it right now, Eugene?
I'm sorry, what?
What time of day is it right now?
It is coming on evening. So let's say it's 5 p.m. or so.
It's not super bright.
Yeah. And actually at this point, I'd like to, let's go ahead and do the Fort Macomb scene, and then we'll do the temple scene and see how things go. I was thinking a break after this temple, or this sabotage run. So describe yourself approaching this. Remember, so it's on the eastern side of town, at the edge of town, on like the bank of this river, next to a bridge that the highway travels over. It's an old fort, like maybe even, a 200-year-old fort almost, like a 19th century era Civil War fort or something. And it is, but it's kind of, so it's like it had been a historical place, but now they're using it as a storehouse and to receive shipments and such and such. There's a fence that goes around it. There's some guards walking around inside the fence. The fence is closed, but this is a pretty large complex. So how would you like to get into the building or to the truck, which is parked out front?
The truck, the one that's brought the shipment, is in the front.
Yeah, so there's a truck parked out front, like near the front door, which are these two double doors that kind of open like this.
Inside the
inside the
gate?
fence, yeah. So there's a
Inside the
gate
fence.
that's just closed. It doesn't seem to be locked or anything, but it is closed, and there's a guard walking around there.
How many?
Between that and the truck. But like I said, there's a pretty big complex, so you could go around or try and talk your way in or whatever.
How many guards are there?
You see two wandering around in the courtyard area, let's say.
Who is really good at like shimmying over chain link fences and things?
What is that, speed? Or is that mine?
Or does everyone have an acrobatic ability or skill or something?
Yeah, that would probably, depending on how you're going to do it, that sounds like, if you're going to clamber up something, I don't know, that sounds like speed to me.
You have a
Depends
climbing
on if you're
skill.
gonna,
I could probably do it.
climb,
Oh yeah.
is might, or if you're gonna like parkour, which would be speed.
Right, yeah. If
Yeah.
you're just going to pull yourself up.
I remember he climbed the building last time. Yeah.
So Waylon's a climber.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is easy stuff for.
I'm really good at distracting people, so I might wait outside with either Gunna or Carta, and while you guys do the stuff inside.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm also good at lying. Remember, so.
Well, okay. So once we're inside, what's the plan? Do we want to obviously sabotage? I don't know if these things can be easily.
Poison.
Oh, poison. Okay.
Maybe if somebody climbs the gate, can then they open it from the inside?
It's already open. We just need to distract them away from it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because if like two of us distract the guards, like either just like nice polite talk or whatever, while the other two go in, they can just like poison the samples or whatever, and then sneak back out.
Yeah,
So,
I have one dose of poison left because one of them broke on me while fighting the spiders. One of them used to kill the guard, and I have one left.
okay.
So why don't I go with one of you because I'm good at lying. So I can go with one of you to distract the guards, and I give Waylon my poison. It's actually in a hip flask, and it used to be a nice leather like casing on the metal hip flask, but on it I have crudely carved a like really bad like skull and bones Jolly Roger kind of thing.
Nice.
And so I hand it to Wade. I'm like rattlesnake venom.
Thanks, dude.
I will.
Maybe the vet knows that I actually milked the rattlesnake myself.
All right. I will accompany Waylon.
All right. So Carter and Travis are staying out, or Moses and Travis are staying outside distracting guards, whereas Gunnar and Waylon are going over the fence off to the side and just entering the area. Okay. So let's start with the distractors. How is Moses and Travis? This is a similar kind of 1-2 punch to before, right? You got distractors and sneakers.
So, strategy. We're good at this.
Yeah, we got a plan, and these cultists just don't know. The acolytes, as they are, of the children of Argent, just can't handle you folks. So, Travis and Moses, they've never seen anything like you folks. So tell me, how do you engage the guards as you approach the front gate? The guards turn and begin approaching you, rifles out. They've got their hands, their gun is the rifle is pointed at the ground, but their hands are kind of near the trigger area, and they look serious. And they're like, "You need to go. I'm sorry, no citizens, members or no are allowed in here."
Well, the one good thing is they're already distracted by coming towards us.
Yeah.
So that's one.
So I look at the guards and I go, yo. I heard y'all got some a truck out here. Might be in need of a tune-up. I'm a bit of a tinkerer myself. I like fixing things, and I thought.
And I say he fixes the bones of things.
Yeah, the metal bones usually.
Okay, so
helpful.
The people too. I mean, you all right? You need picking up.
So first, let's do an intellect test to see how successful you are at fooling these folks, and then we will.
And can I support? Oh, I was about to say I have tools. I mean, no, that's my last character had tools. Can I? Can I just talk up like how good Moses is at fixing the bones of things?
Sure, let's count that as an asset. So Travis's strange foray into anatomy of vehicles is an asset for Moses. So that makes it a demanding task, a 9 or higher.
It actually does help when I think of the wheels as feet, and the axles as the leg bone.
These are the weirdest characters. I love it.
So in the Dark Materials, right, by Philip Pullman, there are these creatures which have these wheel legs, right? So
Oh wow. Yeah. Yes. So go ahead and make basically you're lying. So you're trying to deceive these guards into thinking
I'm actually going to tune up their truck.
Oh, okay. So the first task is to see whether they even believe.
yeah,
any
if they
of this.
let you, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So go ahead and make
so this would be maybe persuasion?
Sure, or just something
I'm
like,
not lying.
oh, well, if you actually would like to try and tinker with their truck, I guess that counts, sure. That drops it, well, first you've got an asset. It's difficult normally, so that's going to be 12 to level 4. So if you want to, are you trained in something like persuasion or deception?
Yeah, I'm trained in tinkering and persuasion.
Okay, so you've got you're trained and you have an asset. So that drops it 2 ranks from 4 to 2. So this is a standard difficulty, difficulty task. You got to roll 6 or higher.
All right, so persuasion, difficulty 2.
The magic number is 6. An 18.
Oh!
Apparently, talking about the ankle bone connected to the tire bone, it's working.
The ankle bone connected to the tire bone.
Right. So the guards believe that your true intent is simply to help with the truck. However, they say, "Oh, nobody here touches the truck. They handle that at the factory, and the truck ran unless the driver tells me this truck needs something. We don't touch it. We don't."
Holy truck? I ask in like a quizzical way.
Well, no, it's the Queen of Angels sends the truck, and the let's say the driver and its attendants handle the materials, and we just make sure everybody stays out. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna cheat.
All right. Well, then we just need to talk to the driver then.
We want to be helpful, newbies.
Yeah.
Well,
like Travis says, we gotta be part of this community. The Reverend just invited us in.
Welcome to the community. But I see that you're only provisional members. You have not yet been inducted, and as such,
right, which is why we gotta prove ourselves.
Proof.
So while this conversation is going on, you get the impression, by the way, that the guard does not want to let you in, even if you're members or whatever. But they are distracted by your attempt, and they don't think this is baloney, right? They think that you're just misguided but sincere.
And good acting is acting with intent. So if we actually have the intention of getting in, we're going to put on a more believable performance.
So they buy it. They're like, okay, these people just want to help, but this is not how they should be helping. So I need to just redirect them. So this person is being patient with you, surprisingly. But you can see irritation is starting to rise. So Gunnar and Waylon don't have a lot of time. You kind of circle around to the side. You've got to scale this fence quietly. You're not in line of sight, but the climbing up a chain link fence can be loud.
Yeah.
So let's try speed tests. Let's do might for climbing. If you have the climbing skill.
Okay, climbing skill instead. Gotcha.
Okay, so might.
Yeah.
And what difficulty are we at?
Yeah.
Oh, let's say that this is not particularly difficult. You're just trying to climb the fence quietly. It does require your full attention. So let's say it's demanding.
Gotcha.
This is not a typical task, but it is something that, So if that means if you're trained in climbing, it would be one less for you. So it would be down to standard.
Do that again. 1 second.
So you'd need to roll a 6 or higher. And then Gunnar, if you're climbing with, you would need to roll a 9 or higher unless you spend. Or have a skill that's relevant.
I'm going to spend just to make sure.
Perfect. That's exactly the number.
What?
But Gunnar rolled a 5.
Oh my god. Do I want to spend this last XP?
Do you?
I'll spend an XP for you to reroll.
What was that?
I'll give you one of mine.
Yeah, you can give them for
okay.
other people, yeah.
Thank you. All right. So he said demanding.
Yep. But it's
spending 1 effort.
So yeah, it's you have to roll a 6 or higher. Yeah, 7. Wow, perfect.
Jeez.
Okay. So Gunnar and Waylon climb up this fence, and it's one of those where you're starting to climb and you hear king, but then you keep going king, and then finally you get to the top. Kind of.
When we hear a chain thing, I just start like repeating a word really loudly or something to like distract them back.
And since
Just start beatboxing.
Yeah, this is entirely in character for Travis, so it's not. They are already put off and confused by your behavior, so this is just more of the same for them. But the chain link fence banging away, they don't notice. Gunnar and Waylon manage to get over the fence. The guards are over there talking to Travis and Carter of Moses. You got the truck is about 30 feet in front of you, and then to the left, maybe 50 feet is the side of the fort. That you could gain access to, or 10 or so feet beyond the truck is the main entrance.
I love how we're like literally like last time we two were the ones sneaking.
Yeah, we just flipped it.
Yeah, we're like fearful symmetry. I love it.
All right, so we should check the truck, the car, the vehicle for the boxes or the crates or however they were transported.
Okay. So you approach the truck. And you've got it's one of these with the door kind of opens up. It has a roll up back door, and then there's 2 seats in the front in the cab. There is nobody in the front, but in the back roll up door is closed. You can't see what's inside it without opening that back door. Although,
do we want to risk it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no windows.
For reason, so
Yeah. All right. With the pistol out just in case, or maybe I should just to be quiet. I'm gonna not use any loud weapons, so I'll use my hands if need be. We open that next door.
All right.
Do we need to roll anything for that or no?
To do it quietly, let's go ahead and have a speed
and
test.
Okay, so since it's locked, right?
No, it's unlocked. It's just about you have to move this like metal clank and you slide this metal door this up. It's just kind of. I mean, if you've ever had a moving truck where you have to move that
right,
door,
yeah, I get you.
It's pretty. It's loud and heavy and awkward, and it's just about doing it quietly enough that the guards who are about 30 feet away with their backs to you don't hear you opening a truck up.
Yeah.
Okay, so which one did you say it was going to be? Might?
Speed.
Speed. Okay.
What difficulty would you like?
Oh, this one isn't super hard. Let's say standard. If you focus, you should be able to keep it nice and slow.
And since I have an edge of 9, does that put down to simple or what?
If you spend points, if you make effort, what happens? Edge gives you it's cheaper.
Like this sketch, yeah.
So instead of
Okay.
spending 3 to get an effort, you spend 2. If you have
Okay.
an edge of 1.
I'll just keep it standard, see what happens.
6 and 14. All right. So you both open this up, and inside what you see are several crates. They are closed, but they are AVM crates. This is from some factory that's not far away, and it looks as though there are also like this crates are piled in on one side, and on the other side there are places where somebody had been kind of like sitting as though they were kind of like guarding it, but they're not in there right now. Neither are the drivers. The driver is not.
So it doesn't look like any of these crates are missing. Like it's full, right?
Yeah, there's a dozen crates in here. Nah, let's say 5 or 6. So they're closed though. You'd have to climb in and look at them to see what's inside them. They're not nailed shut or anything. It just seems like the lids are closed.
Okay. Then yeah, I'm gonna try to open up one of these lids.
I'm going to try to open them as well.
All right. So you climb up there and you crack open. The first one you crack open just has munitions, right? So there's like some there's some pistols and a bunch of bullets for rifles. Okay. The second one you open, however, as well as 2 more, as you continue to open these, have some sort of alien-looking egg.
Ooh.
Time for the poison.
I don't have a picture of the egg, but it has a similar look and appropriate size. It would be about the size of one of those head spiders balled up. So it's like the size of a grapefruit maybe. And it has like, it looks kind of like the bony carapace of the head spider, but all around.
Yeah. Well, with my experience with bugs, will I know that pouring this poison on them be enough to affect them?
What was that, Char? I didn't hear.
Or is it concentrated rattlesnake venom?
Yeah. Would it be effective by pouring it on top of these eggs, or?
So yeah, I mean so you've never seen bugs like these head bugs before, but you have encountered, let's say, young, like larvae and other sorts of things of the ant warriors and some of the other forms, and they're actually quite vulnerable when they're in their early stages. Mm-hmm. Now, in your experience, poisons hurt them the same as it hurts any other living thing. So it stands to reason that might. Yeah, I mean the only issue is that there's a hard outer shell.
Yeah.
So do we know if we pour the poison on there, is it going to notify everyone else that, hey, they're trying to kill the bugs?
You don't know. This is definitely the new part. So even people with bug experiences, you've never encountered bugs with
Just head bugs,
head abilities.
So there's 3 boxes with them in there. How many per box?
Oh, just 1. They're big enough that like they're they're packed in like to keep them safe.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
That's even better.
They're you get the impression that they're fragile enough that you could like stomp one or smack it hard and just shatter it. But you're not sure if just pouring. I mean, it'd be like, imagine you're pouring it on the outside of.
Poke a hole first and pour it in.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Let's see. I have my machete.
I have machete too.
Stab it.
Oh, you know what? I also have a spool of wire. We could probably just like.
Yeah, I have a first aid kit. I'm sure that with
syringe.
Like a syringe or a needle and heat it up, pop a hole in there, drip a couple droplets inside each one, so it doesn't look too obvious, but anything going in there.
Yeah, give me a syringe. I got it.
Yeah. All right. So I look at my stuff and pull it out.
Inject snake venom into them.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Wait, guys, this one random inventory item I had was so useful, you guys.
Yeah, right.
So, all right. So you two have opened up the crate, seen that some of them have military supplies, and 3 of them have these eggs that are kind of like cushioned, and the eggs are about the size of a grapefruit, a little bit bigger, and they've got this insectile carapace around it, but they still seem kind of fragile. So you take your syringe and you draw some of the venom, jab it. It takes a little bit of force to get through that outer
Yep.
shell and then inject it into the insides. Uncertain what exactly the effect will be, but probably not good for the contents of the egg. So you do that and that takes a minute or two. While you're doing that, out front, the guards are now getting hostile with you, Travis and Moses, and they're like, "You need to leave. I understand you're trying to help, but you need to go. And go tell the Reverend you're trying to help over here, and he'll straighten you out, letting you know you don't come over here. All right, this is important business for the Children of Argent that you're not a member of just yet. And once you become a member, maybe you'll do it on this side of the fence. But until then, have a good day."
I have a bottle of moonshine. So I am going to be like, "Yes, ask Reverend for job." And I look at Moses. Actually, I'm not gonna use the moonshine. And I look at Moses. I'm like, "Yes, can you recommend?" But in a more, I don't know how to speak this way continuously, right? But in a more crazy way, recommend us for job.
He says,
the world runs on networking, you know.
He's nodding and say, and let me see here. Let me look at something real quick. One thing that isn't 100% clear. All right, so how I want to run it. All right, let's say this. He looks at you and go ahead and make an intellect task for both of you. Difficulty 12, or rather difficult, level 4. To see you're noticing something about him. Something
Does
bug.
this count as seeing through deception or knowledge of the bugs?
Yes, it's definitely bug knowledge or bug related.
All right.
Or
I've got bug physiology, and my alertness Cypher, which lasts 10 hours. So.
Oh yeah.
Okay, those are both in effect here.
I rolled a 14.
That's a success.
I got a 7 with 2 assets.
Okay, so that is also a success. All right, so he looks at you and he says this. He says, "Oh, I assure you." He kind of pauses for a minute, and then his eyes glow silver. And it's this kind of silver, let's call it an argent light, shines out of his eyes for a moment. And he says, "I assure you the Reverend is aware of your fervent desire to help. And with the Reverend knowing, the Queen of Angels knows. So please, he'll let you know if you can be of help. Until then, good day."
And I say, "Thank you." And I pick out some
Angel
moonshine,
Queen
and I'm
be with you.
I'm like, present for recommendation.
He says that he's getting tired, turns around.
Damn, I'm waiting to get drunk.
Starts to walk away. Hasn't noticed you two in the truck yet.
Uh-oh.
You have a choice. Here's your choice, Waylon and Gunnar. You can keep that door closed and hope that you'll get a chance to escape later, or you can make a run for it.
Close the door.
I say we close the door. There's a lot of weapons in here. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah. Question, Eugene. Do they maybe find a cipher or something in there?
Oh, there are more boxes, yeah. And this is in fact a supply station. So for those of you, I'm going to show something to people at home, but not to folks.
Yeah, we're gonna keep the door closed or close the door, make sure it looks like we haven't been here, and we'll like lay low for a second.
So yeah, there's definitely some supplies that came from the factory, and that are here. So I'm going to say that you find there are bullets aplenty. So if anybody needs bullets for weapons, you've got those.
All right.
There are also, so I don't remember. I see. Okay, so let's go ahead and give. There are 4 of you, and how many ciphers does everyone have?
I have 2.
I'm still full.
I have 2, not counting the spent bug sense.
So Moses and Gunnar are like one down. Is that right?
Yeah.
I just want to know what the maximum I could give you, so I can give you 2 total, and then everyone will be full. Okay, so there is a, let's say in one of the boxes, there is some camo. So I'm going to count that as this asset, or this cipher.
Ammo is the most useful. We should have used. Imagine we had it all this time.
Right. So here is, it gives you the extra sneaky subtle cipher. Okay.
Nice.
It's mostly for, not only are you good stealth related, it's also good for attacking when you're hidden. All right. So whoever wants
That's
to
like
claim
perfect for him.
that
Mate, I
one-
already have a ghillie suit, so I'm not going to bother with it.
Yeah, right. And let's say the other one is, well, that could be quite clever. That might be, that kind of, okay. Let's say the other one is, gonna be one. So I'm just looking at all the possible ciphers. There's so many good ones in here. Okay, I'm gonna say there's 3, and then you guys can choose which 2 you want to use, and the other one is just gonna be left. The second one is trigger happy. It's a scope for one of your weapons. Okay, so that does extra damage equal to the cipher level. All right. Or if you prefer, I don't know, it's bullet armor piercing rounds or some sort of augment to one of your weapons. And then the final one, let's say, is not so much an item you find, but you have that minute or 2 in the truck to kind of assess your situation. And you now have a sense of not just bugs for one of you, it's you, whoever wants to have this, but you're kind of starting to tune into when something else is going on, like they're connecting. You're getting the impression these bugs have a psychic effect, and that they're communicating psychically somehow, right?
Yeah. I mean, I really know that, so...
Yeah, but on the other hand, this lets you sense exactly when one's being active.
Right.
So if you want to have that, you can have
Well,
those.
keep discussion. I'm like, I think we know that. I think we need to whoop them. So I'm sneaking.
So for the record, you could immediately use one and then still have 2 slots open.
You could. So you could activate Sixth
You
Sense.
can activate the psychic sense, yeah. If Gunner uses bug sense and Waylon uses sixth sense.
Yeah,
then-
I'm fine with that.
Well, I mean, like, this extra sneaky is also really good to get out of here right now.
Yeah. But I would say wait until you actually have to get out. Yeah.
Okay.
So Waylon, you now have Sixth Sense, so you can sense when psychic activity is going on, and within long range, and you are pretty clear. And here's why it happens. Let's say it happens like this: you're in the truck, you're peeking out, and you see them talking to the guards, and then you just get this chill down the back of your neck when the guard kind of stands a little straighter and looks off a little bit. It's almost like you can just feel something emanating off of this person, and you get this, your sixth sense tingles, and you're like, this is some sort of secret communication. You're sensing the psychic energy happening right in front of you. They are somehow communicating with the Mother of Angels or with the Reverend or something.
Go ahead.
And so that is definitely,
That's what she said.
you heard it. You heard the Mother of Angels. This horrible, was that Australian accent? What was that?
It was actually. That's
Nicely done, Eugene.
So the Mother of Angels, the person who spawned all of these horrible bugs that have invaded us, it's an Australian woman, I'm sorry to say. I've revealed the ending of the adventure. It's
Australia has a lot of unusual bugs, right?
Exactly. I mean, yeah, it's not an actual woman. It's actually a really big, awful, lethal bug, which of course comes from Australia. That's where they mostly
that
are.
makes total sense. They turned our world upside down, so that.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, you just get the sense that like there's something creepy going on here. So here's what I'd like to do. I'm going to say that, how long would you like to wait? You know that you have probably half an hour until this event is supposed to occur. Gunnar, Waylon, are you just going to wait until the coast is clear, like the guards walk away or seem to be distracted, or do you want to try and push your luck? Like, how long do you want to wait? Until it's time to go, or?
So when we came up to the fort, were the guards just standing there, or were they going on patrol, or like walking around the building?
They weren't patrolling the whole building. They were kind of like walking around the front area. So they were. Okay. It seems like you got the impression that they took their task to be guarding the truck more than the fort, but they were walking this whole area. So there will be times when they have their back to the truck and when they're 30, 40 feet away, but they're never all the way on the other side of the building.
Okay. I think Well, okay. I think the longest I would want to wait is if we have half an hour, maybe 15 minutes.
Let's do 15 minutes and then hold
And then-
the rolling door so we can look underneath it and see when they're actually not there.
Yeah, at the most 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, given the fact that you are basically peeking out for 15 minutes, you'll have plenty of time to see them wander, see them when they leave, seem to walk away. But so the task now is just, so there will be time when you can kind of like slip out
Mm-hmm.
and then and make it without them immediately seeing you. It's just about whether they're going to hear you. So let's go ahead and do
Okay.
one more speed rot test. You do have that cipher I just gave you. That's a sneaky cipher. If you want to use that.
That now I think is a good time to be sneaky because tonight we're not going to be sneaking much, right?
Eased by 2 steps, I might add.
Would you let me use my running skill for this or no?
Yeah, I'd say
All
so.
right.
So, because, I mean, strictly speaking, what you're going to be doing is slipping out of the truck, running across the courtyard, and then clambering up that fence again, out.
Okay.
That's a bunch of stuff, but running's part of it. So running, I'd say running or climbing, and anything stealth related will count.
And what difficulty do you want it at?
Well, to do all of this quickly and quietly, I think is going to be difficult. So that's 12, a rank task for level 4. That's the level of the foe
And
you're
if I have
trying to-
9 edge and I want to spend, so my pool, how much am I going to spend for like?
So if you have
2?
9 points in
Yeah.
in speed, and you
In
have
speed,
one,
yeah.
you have a point, you have an edge in speed, so you'd spend 2 points out of your pool. It's normally 3, but the edge reduces that cost by 1,
Gotcha.
and then that would lower it another step. So if it's normally a level 4 task,
It'll
difficult,
be demanding, right?
it would be demanding because of the effort, but then one more step because you're trained in running and climbing. So that drops it to standard for you.
Standard.
Now, Gunnar, you don't have training in running or climbing, right? Or stealth of any
No.
sort. But you
No,
have
I
the
don't.
cipher. So if you want to use the cipher, that would drop it 2 steps for you as well.
That sounds good.
So that
And
makes
so,
yeah.
mhm.
Both of you have to roll a 6 or higher.
So higher, so that's standard?
Yep.
6, okay. Alright, do I want to rule it? I have 1 XP. I could spend just in case to drop it more, but okay, I'm just gonna go for it.
All right.
Oh my god, why?
All right.
Damn it, Gunner!
Alright, so I'm gonna spend that last XP. Gonna get rid of it, gonna re-roll this.
You just start going for
Jeez
e-stop.
Let's do this.
You can do it,
Please.
Gunnar.
Oh my god,
You
really?
can't do it, Gunner. I'm leaving.
Okay, so none of these are critical
Jeez.
fails. So I mean, if somebody else wants to spend an XP for them, you can, but it's all on you,
Let me
folks.
see how much. I have 2 left. You can take one of mine.
Gosh, thank you. Jeez. And
Please,
I really wish
please.
I spent some effort. All right, 1, 2, 3. Oh,
All right.
thank you.
No problem.
I'm like slipping off of the fence, and you like grab my hand and
Yeah.
like, pull me over.
Yep.
Just manhandle you out of there.
So you slip out of the truck. It rumbles a little bit. The guards are 30, 40 feet away, walking close to where they'll turn. You run away, trying to keep the truck between you and these guards so that when they start walking back, they don't see you. You quickly cross the ground. You hit the fence, clamber up, slip, pull yourself over. It's kind of loud, but you land on the other side. And just finally, as the guards round the truck, they see the two of you, you know, a good dozen or more feet away from the fence, just walking along the, you know, near the shore. And they look, they kind of keep their eyes on you, making sure you're not trying to get in, not knowing that you'd just gotten out.
Flawless execution.
All right. It was very expensive, but you managed it.
Expensive
Yeah.
execution.
Isn't that a Mortal Kombat thing? Flawless victory or something.
Flawless victory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Finish him. All right. So you managed to rejoin with Moses and Travis, and you have some ciphers. You have poisoned the 3 eggs secretly in a way that will be probably difficult to tell. And you are now walking back towards town when all of a sudden in your head you hear the sound of a bell ringing. And Waylon, you with your 6th sense know that this is psychic communication. This is a psychic connection from the Reverend to everyone in town.
Technically, I can use a cipher and resist this, but I think I'll save it.
I could too, but I'm not going to because I want them to know. So I'm going to attempt to express this to everyone, but because Waylon is very bad socially with other human beings, he's just going to go, some buggy bullshit. Just doesn't explain any further than that.
Awesome. Okay.
So there's some buggy bullshit going on.
Buggy bullshit.
Oh, question. The head spider in my lunchbox is actually dead, right?
Correct.
I can't like spring it on someone.
No, alas. It you get the impression it died when it was both either disconnected from its host violently or by killing the host, or when it was put in the airtight container for an hour or two. It's dead. So
that makes sense,
What's
actually.
that matching lid? Who knew that GM intrusion would come back?
That's right. Oh, I don't use those for nothing. Not just to make sure that your lids match your. This is important narrative content here. All right.
Listen, when the Tupperware container said it was airtight, they weren't joking, okay?
That's right. It burped. It burped. You sealed it. It burped. Right.
Somehow Tupperware has survived the apocalypse. They're like still handy. Yeah.
Yep, that's right. So here's where you're at. You approach the temple, but it's not just you this time. The whole town is coming, and about half of them are dressed in the silver hoods and robes, and they're filing in. So this is a couple hundred people. It's going to be crowded in there, but everyone.
Is Sam there?
No, you don't see Sam yet.
Oh.
Sam was under house arrest. You don't know what will become of her. And so you file in. So tell me, are you going to go along and attend this event and describe a little bit about what you do? So people are filing in. There's like 200 people in this place in the vestibule, the kind of atrium outside, and then entering this large assembly hall that they're using for, like I said.
I mean, we have to save the sun, so I guess I would attend.
Yeah. I'm gonna make sure that my pistol is like kind of hidden.
Okay.
Just in case they stop us and I have to like get rid of my other stuff.
Same with
just
me.
want to make sure
Like,
it's like, yeah.
Yeah, if Gunnar tells us that it's like a team thing, like we should hide our weapons. Yeah.
Yeah, just in case. Like, make sure you have something like.
I mean, I have
so
one
that-
hidden weapon. I have my spring action arm.
Right.
That's good.
But my other weapons, yeah, I want to make sure they're hidden. Yeah.
Right. So
We definitely want some.
So you're walking in with your weapons kind of moderately concealed. As you're walking in the door, you see the truck that you were just in about 15, 20 minutes ago pull up and go around back of this
Seen
building.
it before, man.
Right, yeah. You'll notice that it looks like half to 2/3 of the people present are acolytes in their gowns or their robes. Probably, though, based on what you saw when you were walking around, this isn't all of the citizens. So it looks like only some of the non-acolytes are in attendance, but all of the acolytes are, right? As you head in, the Reverend is standing up front, and he says, brothers and sisters, gentlefolk of the Venetian Isles, welcome. Those of you who have been here since the beginning of the Children of Argent, and those of you who have arrived newly, and he kind of gestures towards you four, says, I would welcome you today for a special event. It's not just our regular service in which we give thanks to the Mother of Angels for her deliverance, peace, and serenity we have here in Venetian Isles. It's an induction ceremony. We have 3 special guests. Go ahead and bring them on up. There you go. Come on. And so then what you see is a middle-aged woman, short, kind of shoulder-length blonde hair, dressed in a kind of dressed kind of rather nicely, kind of wearing a pair of nice slacks and like a blazer and a blouse, and she's got her hair up, and so she looks like she's very either going to work or to church or something, right? Is how she looks like she's dressed, and she's got an 18-year-old boy with her, 18, 19 maybe, and he's kind of a scrawny kid who looks nervous and a little uncertain, but she looks she's just like beaming with harmonious radiance. She's just like at peace and delighted that she's going to be inducting her son. And you can tell immediately, since I believe 1 or 2 of you had known Sam and maybe had known of Clara and Martin, or had seen pictures, or had met them. Maybe you can figure out this must be Clara and Martin, right? It meets the description perfectly. And so Martin's brought up. Two other people are brought up. One is looks like to be somebody else's spouse. So a man is a member, and he's bringing up his wife. And then you see, let's say, two men who are also coming up, one of which seems to be a member and the other not yet. And so these are the three to-be inductees. And the Reverend says...
18-year-old is the son, we're guessing?
The 18-year-old, yeah.
Yeah, Martin is the 18-year-old, and with Clara. And then there's just three total. And you remember, Gunnar and Waylon, you saw 3 eggs.
Right.
So,
and we've envenomed them!
That's right, they've been poisoned. So, the Reverend stands and lifts his arm. He's got the silver robe on now, so as well as he had when you met him earlier. And he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to reveal the gift that the angels have brought us. It is what makes us able to live in peace with them." And he pulls his hood back and he turns around.
Oh, they all know about this.
And he's got one of these on the back of his head.
Feels bad.
This is something different.
I didn't realize the people knew about this.
And he says, and so some of the people that aren't members mutter and are uncomfortable. You get the impression that, only when they induct folks is this revealed.
Is it one of the normal spiders that we saw, or is it a special one?
It looks like a normal one. And he says, now there's nothing to fear. So now this is a special gift that I have accepted willingly from the Queen, the Mother of Angels. See? And he reaches up and he pulls it off. And then he puts it back on, and he says, "See, this allows me to live in peace with our deliverers, the angels. This
So
is a
because
gift."
of my cipher, am I able to tell if it's speaking through him or to him?
So I'd say that. So first of all, Gunnar, every single person wearing a silver hood is a bug infected individual. The Reverend is bug infected too, but again, there's something different about him in that, unlike. How much of this should I give away? Let's.
I can make an insight.
Yeah, let's make an intellect checks to see whether I give the whole game away or just a hint.
All right, let's see here.
Because you've got all these ciphers in play that change it significantly, but they're you know how it is with these.
Okay.
Would you say this is like a visual perception thing, or is this more like just kind of?
This is not. This is more like
It's a bug knowledge thing, right?
Let's call it bug knowledge. Count that as an
Okay,
insight. I mean,
so
this is how the details of your cipher work, because they're not. It doesn't tell me whether you'd be able to tell the difference of this, but I think it might make sense.
I have skills in identifying plants and creatures and another skill in knowledge and puzzle solving. Which one do you want me to use?
Oh, I think either of them would be fine. So.
Okay, let me do knowledge.
Okay.
What's the difficulty?
I'm going to say it's challenging. I believe that was level 5. Yes, that's the right level for him. So if you're using task, if you have a trained, it drops it 1 step. If you want to use effort, that drops it 2 steps. But because of your ciphers, Gunnar and Waylon, it also drops it a step. Those count as assets.
Okay, so what are you wanting me to roll it as? Standard?
That would be, if you spend effort, it would be standard. If not, it would be demanding. But Gunnar also just rolled a natural 20. So speaking meta, you're going to hear all the story, yes.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe don't spend your effort.
Yeah.
But let's see what you roll just for narrative flair here. A 5. Okay, so something psychic's going on again. You're not sure, but Gunnar, with your bug sense, you figured it out. The other ones in the silver hoods, this is your major effect, is the secrets. They're unwilling. They were unwilling inductees, so to speak, or unknowing, right? They didn't they have a different relationship with the things attached to their heads. Those things are controlling them. This Reverend seems to be still in control of himself in a way that the others aren't. So he can remove the bugs, it looks like. But when you can tell, like the bug senses, you've known from the day one, there's something different about this one. Unlike the rest of us who are victims of these creatures, he's a willing accomplice. And because of that, he has control in a way that the others don't.
Okay.
So at this point, there is a special rule in this setting that when you see something awful, it can shock you.
Yeah.
So let's go
Boy.
ahead and have a roll for that. I believe that is an intellect task. Let me go to the rules for that to make sure I get it right.
What is the thing that is disturbing? Is it that he's taking off the bug and putting it back on?
Well, first, this is the first time you have seen the bugs before, but it's that he seems to be he's willingly kind of succumbing or giving himself over to these
It's
creatures.
not like a physical sight. It's like this idea.
He's facilitating it. He's basically turning this whole town into slaves of the.
Neil probably assumed he was mind controlled as well, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
He didn't.
yeah.
Or ignorantly deceived or something. I mean, it's just meeting someone who's willingly going along with this is what's upsetting.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're looking that up since inside?
Yeah. Go ahead and roll it. It's an intellect check. It's the shock rules in the.
I rolled
Cypher
a 3.
System. Okay.
That probably
Sure.
means erratic behavior comes into play and I do something wild.
Yep.
All right, so I'm just going to roll as is with no difficulty.
Yes, please.
Cool.
16. All right. So that's going to be enough to resist.
And for me, I have intellect defense. Can I roll with that?
Yes, you can.
All right.
This is an intellect defense roll. So if you're trained in that, it would be one step lower.
So demanding or something different?
Just roll it without a difficulty, and I'll tell you.
Difficulty? Okay, cool.
That's just fine. And did I see a roll from Moses? Did I miss it? Yes, 17.
Yeah.
Okay.
17.
And Waylon isn't weird.
3.
3, there it is. Okay, so Waylon fails, and...
Sorry. Travis got the 3, not Waylon. Sorry.
What?
Travis got the 3. I said 3. That was for me, not for Waylon.
What? No, I got a 3.
Oh, as well? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're both 3s.
Okay, so 2 fails, 2 successes. All right, that's fun. So,
So I have the erratic behavior feature, which means you might make me do something wild.
Exactly. I'm going to. Also, I'll just remind you, because this is a little side note, and I've been keeping an eye on it, but it hasn't come up yet. No one's rolled so because 1 or 2 of you had some trouble last time, Waylon, in fact, your GM intrusion, you had been shocked once before, is actually 1 or 2. You haven't rolled a 2 yet, but the rest of you were at 1. But now, the 2 people who failed, which were Gunnar and Travis, is that right?
Oh, no,
Wait,
I
it was
got
me.
16.
Waylon and Travis.
Waylon and Travis. Okay, so
Yep.
Waylon, your GM intrusion number is now 3.
Oof.
Travis, yours is 2. Now, what that means is you are 3 steps down the shock track.
Yeah.
And anytime you roll on anything, a 3 or lower, regardless of what you're spending, I get to do an intrusion for free.
Awesome.
Now, nobody rolled that badly on this one because the 3 is only after you've been shocked. It doesn't apply now.
Okay.
But I'm going to go ahead and do an intrusion at this fail as well. So I'm going to give I'll give the points to Travis. No, I get to do it for you for free, Travis, because you're right.
Yeah, because of
But I'm going to give you, Waylon, 2 experience points, 1 for you, 1 to give to somebody else. I'm doing a GM intrusion here because in response to your failed shock. So not only does your shock track go up 1 because you're appalled by realizing what's going on here, but you're going to lose your composure and disrupt the event.
Awesome.
Yeah, totally. Oh, yeah, that seems amazing. Can I use my war cry as part of that?
Yeah, I think, Travis, you're going to do it too, but it's just you don't get XP for it.
Oh, yeah, totally. I think it's really it's totally in character because I have a war cry asset, right? Cypher. It's totally in character for me to start shrieking.
Yeah.
With this war cry.
So yeah, you are appalled, and that these people have been. And let's just throw one little bit on top. So these 3 inductees are brought up. The Reverend reveals the head bug, and then he raises his hand, and several of his servants come up, and they're each holding an egg, and they're bringing the eggs towards the heads of each of these 3 people. Mm-hmm. At this point, Travis, Waylon, so Gunnar and Moses are up. You 2 are appalled, but you're able to keep your cool, and you get to decide how you react. Travis and Waylon don't get to decide. I'm going to tell them how they react in this case,
All right,
which is
exciting.
they get to decide whether to allow me to do this, and they decided to allow it. Obviously, they could always say no. They just don't get the XP. So you lose your composure, and you can describe specifically how you'd like to do it. Travis, you shriek out this war cry. Waylon, how do you lose your composure in this circumstance?
So, okay. Has Travis started screeching already when this happens?
Yep, to you two.
All
Would you
right,
like- yeah.
Travis, how quickly are you going to start screeching?
Oh, I'm gonna immediately start screeching, and
All
I'm
right.
speaking at like filthy curse words, and just so you know, every enemy in short range of me is hindered for 3 rounds.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Nice.
So Waylon is going to first start hyperventilating and then start screaming the same way that Travis is and start like pushing a little bit through the crowd.
All right, towards the stage.
Yes.
Okay. So, Carter, Gunner, Travis starts shrieking. Waylon begins to panic and starts shrieking and going forward. It starts to sow chaos in the room. Everyone, acolytes and regular citizens, turn and try and look and are concerned. The Reverend stops speaking. The eggs begin to crack open, and these spider bugs begin to crawl out. But then they just tumble onto the floor.
Yes!
And hit the stage with a splat.
Oh, Lord.
Not the splat!
And the Reverend looks down and says, What? What have you done? You've desecrated the angel's gifts.
By screaming?
I didn't do that.
by looking down at the he's saying this in response to the dead ones laying on the stage.
Which he doesn't know we're connected to.
He doesn't know that. That's fair. He says they've been desecrated.
Who brought them?
Yeah, right. He's yelling at the 3 that are carrying it, right? What have you done to the eggs? Stop, they're disrupted. So there's this chaos. He's freaking out because the eggs are dead and because you are screaming. Several of the cultists now regain their composure and start moving towards you, clearly with an intent to lay hands on you.
Not in the paladin lay hand sense.
No, not in. Yeah, they're not here to heal. Right. This is quite the contrary. The Reverend himself regains his composure again and turns and looks and said, "Get them out of here! You apprehend them!" And the guards redouble their efforts, pushing through the crowd towards you. People within range are starting to reach out towards you. So why don't we take a quick break?
Yeah.
Here.
Are the humans? Can we say are the humans? Are they also trying to affect us, or are they backing away or something?
No. The ones that aren't in the silver robes look frightened, confused. They're starting to leave, get out of the way. They recognize this is not going well, right? But the ones in silver are acting in lockstep formation, heading towards you. It was just a moment or two of chaos and confusion, but then once the Reverend snapped his attention forward and said, "Get them," all the heads turned, and psychic sense and bug senses are tingling crazy.
Nice.
And so you've got
we just killed the stupid Reverend. Okay.
all of them coming towards you, but Martin is not going to get a bug on his head this day. So
Nice.
check that one off. So let's take a quick break. In 10 minutes, we'll come back and see the conclusion of Bug Hunt.
Okay.
All right, and we're back. I'm Eugene Marshall. This is Sigil Spotlight, and we are a diverse community of tabletop role-playing game creators supporting each other's work, playing it on this stream. Today we're playing Bug Hunt, a Cypher System adventure by Steven Seibert. Seibert? I always get this wrong. Seibert. And with design, layout, editing by Charlotte Irrgang, one of our players here today. And our friends here, our adventurers, that's Char and Elijah and Andrew and Sharang, are playing 4 roughnecks. These are humans that are resisting the alien bugs that have invaded and taken over the earth. And they are in the small planned community of Venetian Isles outside of New Orleans. And they have just disrupted a ceremony where the Reverend, the one willing participant human in this community that's being slowly taken over by these mind-controlling bugs, and he's the one willing facilitator of this. He was about to induct 3 people, including Martin Weatherton, the son of 2 old roughnecks, or at least one roughneck and her wife, Sam Weatherton and Clara. And Sam had asked for you to help save Martin. And by poisoning the bugs secretly earlier, you did. for a time, but the Reverend's still in charge. And now that you've disrupted the ceremony by screaming, Travis and Waylon kind of losing their control, their composure, becoming shocked at the realization that the Reverend is a willing bug wearer, shall we say, and trying to induct all of these other people into this bug cult. You lose your control, start screaming, the bugs are dead, the Reverend is upset, he's not sure who's to blame for the bugs, but he knows who's to blame for disrupting the ceremony, and it's you four. So he has instructed his followers to lay hands upon you and apprehend you. And there you're in a room, a large assembly hall. On stage are the Reverend and 3 would-be inductees, that's failed, as well as 3 members that are bringing them up. And that includes Martin, not a member, and Clara, his mother, and Sam's wife, and she's a member. But between you and the stage...
Oh, Sam's wife is mind controlled right now. Oh.
Yeah.
Right.
But in between you and the stage are like 100 people, about 50 of which, or 60 of which maybe more, are in the silver robes representing the cult. They are children of Argent. The humans who are not controlled are beginning to panic and flee as the screaming is going on, and the silver-robed individuals all turn their heads in strange simultaneity and begin marching towards you, hands out, at the command of the Reverend.
So everyone is hindered for the next 3 rounds, guys. Remember that.
All the foes are, because Travis lost his composure and issued his war cry. So I'm going to...
Swearing really loudly a lot, so...
All right, so I'm going to switch us over to the character name, so you've got your descriptors up on the overlay there. And so I think we should just dive right in by rolling initiative.
So I have advanced initiative.
So the magic number to beat is 12.
I beat it because I have advantage.
So I have the difficulty of your initiative is reduced by 1 step. What do you want me to put difficulty on?
So then it's normally 12, but for you it's 9. So that would be a demanding task.
Demanding, gotcha.
Why does it say that I'm untrained?
Cypher involved here.
Yes, you do.
Demanding.
So it looks like... so Travis is going to go first. It looks like...
Snap.
Travis is going to go first before the acolytes do. Waylon is going to be delayed, as is Moses, but Moses rolls a 1, so I get a free GM intrusion. All right.
Oh.
So, and Gunnar rolled a 10. So all right. So Gunnar is, and you are trained. Did you have an asset?
Yeah, I'm trained. I don't know why it says it's there's a -1, but
okay.
yeah.
Well, that
-1 is actually good. It's 1 step easier.
Yeah, you've reduced the difficulty.
Oh,
by
that's
1
why.
step.
That makes sense. Yeah.
It just is weird because you didn't enter a difficulty, so it didn't say whether it was a success. That's right.
Oh,
All right, that's a feature of the Roll20 sheet. All right, so all right, so here's what happens: the cultists turn and start coming towards you. It looks like Travis and Gunnar are going to be able to react before the cultists get within arm's reach and try to lay hands. Carter, you, however, seeing these cultists start pressing in on you, step 1 step back, step on Waylon's foot, and fall down right onto your back. So you are now laying on the ground looking up at these cultists coming in like this. So we'll see how that goes for you when we get to you at the last of the step of the initiative. All right. So first we get Gunnar and Travis's response. Gunnar, I'll go first, and to let Travis finish eating, and then Gunnar, you go ahead and what would you like to do? The cultists are closing in. They're all within close range, but they haven't grabbed you yet. The door is behind you. There's a few people between you and the door, but there are fewer people between you and the door than there are between you and the stage, where the Reverend is.
Okay. There's fewer people behind us, you said?
Yeah, you're closer to the back than
Okay,
the front.
cool. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. All right. As I whip out my shotgun and take aim at the Reverend, I'm going to shout out to my companions. It's like, let's make it out of here. I'm going to try to take out the Reverend first. And I will fire at him. Let's see.
So the shotgun is
speed.
And it has this, according to the stats in Cypher System, it is a long range weapon. So you will be able to hit the Reverend if you want to aim at him.
All right, I am going to.
Yeah, go ahead. No, he's it's going to be he's a level 5, so it's challenging to hit him.
But he's hindered.
But he's hindered, and so that drops it 1 step. And if you are, well, you're practiced, but you're not trained specially, so you don't have any minuses. But you are a bug fighter, right? So that that's extra damage. I'm just looking at your.
Yeah. So.
Are you using that cool new damage cipher we got?
Yeah, you've got there is one that does extra damage.
That would be the trigger happy, right?
Yeah.
For the next hour, your ranged attacks deal an additional amount of damage equal to your cipher. Yeah, let's do it.
So you've got several things that let you do extra damage, but I don't know if any of them let you.
What if you kill him in 1 blow?
But that'd be really nice.
But so I don't know if you. Yeah, go ahead. So tell me how you'd like to lower the difficulty, if at all, because you've got it's hindered. He's hindered thanks to the war cry, so that drops it 1 step from 15 to 12, challenging to difficult. I mean, bug tracker and hunter. I don't know. It says it's the task is decreased by 1 step if you're interacting with your chosen foe. I guess shooting is a way to interact with somebody. So
yeah, but I feel like that. I mean, I guess
it says hunter.
It's a bit overpowered in my opinion.
What is that cipher?
No, it's a cipher. I thought it's a skill.
No, it's a skill. My bad. It is a skill. That is a powerful skill. Yeah. You're right. Unless we take it to mean not combat oriented.
Yeah, I feel in Cypher they tend to be specific about like you cannot take combat skills easily, that kind of thing.
Because
so yeah, we'll keep that to like tracking and bluffing and deceiving and like
social
perceiving.
Stuff. Yeah, that's good. Okay. In that case, you can spend effort to lower your difficulty, or you can save that effort for damage. It's your choice.
I'm definitely spending. So yeah, I'm practiced with all weapons, so I know that. I'm good with the shotgun. Not expert at the shotgun.
Okay, so if you're spending effort, that lowers it to demanding. You now have a 9 or higher to beat. And I don't think you have any assets here.
I think so. I think I'm pretty much okay. So we said this is difficult. We said this was challenging, and then.
But you have a training and a he's hindered. So, or I mean effort and he's hindered. So it's dropped by 2 steps.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's redo this. Okay. Drop by 2 steps, and I will be spending effort. There we go. Did that work? Oh no.
All right.
Okay. Well.
So, not a critical fail, although your critical failure number is higher now. Remember, so yours is. Oh no, yours is still at 1. You haven't had any shotgun.
Yeah.
All right. So you aim the shotgun and just take a shot, and you see the wall behind him get peppered with shot, and he just ducks really quickly. The weapon comes out, he sees it and kind of hits the deck. As your shot goes off, and now with the sound of a shotgun going off, people start screaming. At least
someone's trying to convince the people to help us if we can.
So at this point, it is now. So would you like to? You can run away, you can back away, you can push forward, Gunner. You still can kind of move a little bit, but
I will keep myself in between them and my companions.
Okay, so you kind of interpose yourself as this crowd closes in. Just of the cultists, the humans who are not cultists are trying to push their way out towards the exterior of the area. It is now Travis's turn. You have lost your composure, but you're not. That was a momentary event.
Right.
You are in control of yourself now. What would you like to do?
And this is why I leveled up last time. I'm going to use Terrifying Presence using 2 levels of effort to affect the level 5 creature. And so I'm going to Terrifying Presence. You convince an intelligent creature of level 3 or lower and make it level 5 with my effort. the target is within short range, blah, blah, blah. But as long as you do nothing but speak, the target is paralyzed with fear, runs away, or takes some other action. So I'm going to spend, that's 2 levels of effort, normally costs 5. It'll now cost 4. So it'll cost me 4 intellect because of my edge. And I am going to take out the lunchbox, open the spider, pull the corpse up, and crush it between my hands while screaming obscenity and then smearing it all over my face and body, like terrifying this reverend that his angels are nothing and worthless and can be crushed within my palms.
All right. So the way terrifying presence work is you target one individual. Is that the idea?
One individual.
And you're targeting the reverend.
The reverend.
Okay. And this is just a thing that happens. There's no roll.
Yes.
Okay.
And he's still hindered for other people's roles and things.
Right. Okay. So so you pull this out, and people he steps back because he had just ducked from a shotgun blast, but he sees and he stands up and he squints and peers. No, the angels, and he's quite disturbed. What's interesting is as he becomes disturbed, all of the people in the silver robes approaching you kind of start to hesitate.
Yes!
Right?
Yes!
Right? So they're like, and they for a moment you see so as they're approaching, by the way, silver lights in their eyes.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
So they've been, this is the effect of the psychic control. They are kind of the children of Argent on full display. The light blinks and flickers, and they're kind of blinking and looking around and uncertain of themselves for a moment.
Nice!
So Travis is doing this. I mean, and by the way, insert your Cronenbergian body horror here, right? So this spider creature, you tear it apart, and it's like cracking open a raw crab or lobster, and it's got all this gelatinous material of ooze and ichor pours out of it all over you, and it's awful smelling and gross and all
and I'm like,
you would expect it to be, right? So so that happens.
Yes, I'm so terrifying. I love it.
The cultists.
This is why I did 2 level. That's why I leveled up, so I could get 2 effort and target stronger creatures.
Target the Reverend in particular.
Yeah.
All right. So the Reverend is hesitant. He's hindered and he is frightened right now, and because of that, his followers are uncertain. They are going to press forward, but they aren't particularly not nearly as affected. Not only are they hindered by the war cry, they're also now hindered. I'm giving them a hindrance because of the effect the Reverend is under. So I need all 4 of you to make speed defense tasks in order to avoid being grabbed by these folks. And because they are level 4 but reduced by 2, it is now a standard task. And that doesn't count. So if you have speed, if you're trained in speed defense, or if you spend, those reduce it further. You let me know.
Nice. Dropped my die.
All right. Gunner manages to fend them off. His hands grab, and you're able to just knock them aside. Okay, Moses McManus.
I mean, I'm already on the ground.
You're not only are you on the ground, but you rolled a 2, and you've never had a shock yet, right?
No, I did, but we healed it, I think.
Yeah, I remember you healed it. You did heal it.
Okay, good, because that means that's not a GM intrusion. It's just a failure. All right. So I see 2, so I need a roll from Travis.
Yeah, I got a 6.
Oh, a 6. Okay, cool. And Waylon. Is it?
Sorry, my entire thing froze up for a minute.
Oh yeah, that's okay. That happens. No problem. So while you're going ahead and roll, I'll narrate what happens to the other folks.
Yeah, go for it.
Gunnar, you were able to push a couple of these people away. They're distracted. They're not fully into it. They're just regular folks, right? They're not incredibly strong, but they are determined, or at least they were. You pushed them back. Travis, they're afraid to approach you, frankly. But so they get close, and they're kind of like, how do I? And they're disgusted and concerned. All right.
Rest in peace.
This slime.
But Moses on the ground, one of them grabs your ankles and starts pulling you because you're on the ground, right? And so you are now sliding away from your friends, past Gunner, and into, you're now surrounded by these, silver-robed individuals. Waylon...
It's pretty bad.
Let's do something fun. Not only do they manage to grab you, I'm going to say, two of them lift you up off the ground. They get like arms under yours and lift you up, and they're now bringing you forward towards the stage. And so you, whereas Moses is on the ground with like four of them standing around him, you are being brought in a crowd, almost like forced crowd surfing here, towards the stage. And the Reverend is like, yes, bring him to me. All right. So that was their round.
Awesome.
Now for those who rolled below the level 4 initiative. My goodness. All right. So if I recall, that was... Oh, so who hasn't gone yet? So Moses is on the ground, and he's going last. But Travis went, and Gunnar went. So I guess that's Waylon, yeah?
Yeah, just me.
So Waylon, you are being carried forcefully. You have people are...
Right.
You are basically, grappled, for lack of a better word. And under their... They are have hands on you.
Okay. Can I use might defense to try to get out of it, or no?
Yeah, you'd have to spend your action to kind of do so, basically. But yes.
All right, I'll give it a shot. See what happens.
And
would that be difficult?
Yeah, it's level 4. That's their level, and there are several of them, so it's definitely going to be that level.
And let's see. I have an edge of 1, so I'd have to spend 2 points on that, right?
If you want effort,
okay.
Exactly.
Let's do that.
So that drops it to 9 is the number you need to roll, making it a demanding task.
I can actually click on it, right? Let's see here.
As you all see, Waylon being carried away by all of these silver robed individuals. A couple of them have now, through the tussling, have had their hoods knocked off, and you see they have these bugs on the backs of their head. Okay, Waylon, you managed to get your arms free from these people, but you're still surrounded. That was your action. It took all of your effort. That's
yank some of the bugs.
Right. So I'll let you. Is there anything else you'd like to try to do? Yeah, you could grab something. You could try to push somebody, that sort of thing. Is there anything else you'd like to do?
I am going to get out my machete just for fun, just to make sure they don't come too close.
All right. So I forgot, actually, they're hindered, so it would have been even easier for you to do that, by the way.
Okay.
Random thought. If Waylon grabs a bug, attaches it to his own head, and then tries to psychic backlash, would that affect the Reverend?
Would it affect everyone?
Interesting. Yeah.
You know what they say. You'll have to try and find out. You can certainly try. I think the dice might be involved in those sorts of things.
Yeah, we'll find out.
All right, so you menace people with your machete, but you really had to spend most of your time and energy just getting ungrabbed by these people.
Yep.
So you're surrounding, like, oh, get off of me. Now, at that point, Moses, you're on the ground. You're not like, they don't have a good hold of you. They've just pulled you in away from your friends. But you're on the ground and away from your friends with some people above you. What would you like to do?
So as I'm getting dragged, I'm rummaging around in my doctor bag, and I pull out a little a baggie, and it's actually crushed sleeping pills because I like snorting them.
Okay, like you do.
And so I pour out some of this powder on my hand and right in their faces as they lean down to grab, where they're leaning down to grab my ankles.
Nice.
All right.
Is that a cipher?
Is this a cipher? Yeah.
It's not. It's actually, my equipment is a bag of pills.
Ooh.
Okay. I'm also specialized in medicine and healing.
Nice.
All right. So here's the thing. They are hindered twice because of what Travis did with the war cry and the frightening presence this round. And
I'm a controller some type, everyone.
apparently, yes. So that drops it to a standard task to do this. But if you are trained and specialized,
And I have equipment for an asset.
that drops it to a routine task. This is routine for you. Drugging, drugging people unwillingly is a routine task for Moses. At least to, let's say, administering sleep medicine to those who probably need it, which is true
Right.
of these people.
Right.
I had practice giving it to Travis,
Yeah, true,
like,
true.
for years.
Yeah.
For
'Cause when it
years.
gets too, like,
Yeah, when my
sometimes
when my
you
like
just need to
nightmares
chill.
take over and I start becoming really erratic, you're like, Travis.
Absolutely. Calms them down. So, all right. So this is, go ahead and narrate this. You're going to put set a couple of them above you to sleep, or certainly in a daze of some sort. It
Yeah.
won't knock out a whole bunch of them, but it'll knock out enough for you to extricate yourself from this position.
Right.
Yeah,
Although you
so-
are now running low on pills. Let's put it that way.
Your addiction
Well,
come back to
We're
bite
in
you.
civilization, so I'll just have to raid the pharmacy.
Exactly. All right. So, yeah, to narrate what that looks like and where you go once you've done it.
So yeah, I kind of like do this half sit up thing. I'm like to the people grabbing me, and they're like,
Power of sedatives.
So several of
Yeah,
them.
It may be cut with some like extra good sedative.
I was gonna say several of them just, you can see that they out of surprise just inhale it, and several of them get it in their eyes and they're like, oh, and so a couple of them are just distracted, but a couple of them are like, whoa, and one of them falls over, and you're able to get out of there if you'd like to
and
return.
I'm like, you're welcome.
They seem all kinds of disoriented. So we've got several of them on one side are disoriented. We've got Gunnar has shot a shotgun out and has shot at the Reverend but missed. Waylon is extricated himself from a crowd of them who had grappled him, but he's now standing around amidst them with his machete. And Travis continues to terrify the Reverend. It's the top of the order. The Reverend I had had decided was large, just commanding his cultists, so to speak. So we are back at the top, actually. So only Travis gets to go before the Reverend, because the Reverend is a level 5.
So I'm gonna keep terrifying him. That is
Right.
my action. So he is still paralyzed with fear.
Right. So he is, in sight of this, is like, no, he's trying to almost like reason with you, but also with his own fear, right? So he's like, the angels, they're immortal. That's not, you've killed a holy vessel. This is you've brought death unto our place of hope. And then his eyes kind of start glimmering silver, and he's, so you get the impression that he's losing control of himself, even though he normally is in control. So that's happening to the Reverend, and that leaves us to Gunnar. You are now up, so you're surrounded by these. There's a lot of people here, so there's several dozen foes. This is not. The numbers are not in your favor. What would you like to do? But the Reverend, I might add, is standing flat-footed and distracted on the stage.
Okay, that's
Hindered.
great.
So it would be much easier to hit him. Let's put it that way. Should you choose?
So there is a lot of people in between us two. However, they are kind of being affected in the same way as the Reverend is by Travis.
And the Reverend's up on
Now,
a stage behind them.
How difficult would it be for me to just barrel through or slip through them all and get to the stage and act?
Well,
is that realistic?
Yes. It would be. I mean, you guys have a lot of assets and ciphers and abilities in play here. So they're normally, that would be a very difficult task normally because they're level 4 people, but they're hindered twice. So it would be a standard thing. I mean, you're basically barreling your way through people that have been all simultaneously stunned.
Okay.
So you could do it, but it's...
This is my idea. What Gunnar wants to do is barrel through, hop on the stage, and then hit the Reverend across the head with the butt of his spear and inject his sedative into the bug on the back of his head.
Okay. So I'm going to
He
say...
saw...
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, he saw how when Travis like barraged him with insults, how it affected him, and then it affected the people
Everyone
around him. He's banking on that if he sedates the bug, that it will affect everyone else.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I'm going to say that's going to take you 2 rounds, though, to do. So barrel through, hop up on the stage, and approach the Reverend is like this round. And then next round, you'll try and grab him and inject this. Because he's not, I mean, he's frightened, but he's not entirely incapacitated. He's not unconscious.
He's not like physically paralyzed.
Right. Yeah, he's paralyzed with fear. So it will be a challenge for you to do that, but you can try. So first, let's go ahead and have a standard roll. And it depends. If you want to slip through, it's going to be speed. If you want to barrel through, which I believe was the word you used, that would be might. To get through the crowd, unless you want to spend or have some sort of skill or asset that's relevant.
Imagine, by the way, that as you do this, I'm just standing there like war chanting. I'm just like, I'm doing like the haka right there, right?
Yes.
With the haka.
Instead of war,
hemolymph.
So instead of war paint, you've got the
bug juice.
Yeah, the hemolymph all over yourself.
All right, so I'll make a might roll.
Yep, sure.
You said against a standard difficulty, I'm gonna spend some effort.
All right, that'll drop it to a simple task, 3 or higher.
And you have edge, right, in might, so that's cool.
I do, yeah.
So it only costs you 2, yeah. No problem. So you manage to barrel your way through, knocking a couple people aside that are dazed. One of the people surrounding Waylon gets knocked over into another one. And you manage to get up on this. It's a low stage. You kind of hop up on it, only about 2 or 3 feet high with 2 steps. And you're up on the dais, the platform here, with the Reverend. Now, the people there were 6 or 7 people up here as well. There's the inductees. So you see Clara and Martin. Martin has definitely withdrawn way to the side of the stage, and Clara is holding on to him, not allowing him to leave, keeping him there.
Clara's also slightly dazed, right?
Yeah, they're all kind of disoriented, but they're not.
They're not helpless.
Yeah, it's
but
hindered.
If Claire does do something, she is still slightly dazed.
Exactly, she's hindered, but she's not paralyzed with fear. So, but Martin looks like he's trying to leave, actually, but Clara's keeping him there. The others are have moved off out of the way. There's one of the people who had brought up the eggs is standing there trying to pick up the dead bug, and he seems quite concerned. So you hop up on... Yeah, right? No, wake up, little guy. Come on. You can do it. And, the other 2 are just disgusted and find it... they're just... horrified by what happened to the bugs, what's happening with Travis, what's happening everywhere around them. It's chaos. So you're in the midst of that scene, and that's what you'll be doing for this round. We now get to the cultists. So they're going to try again. So to grab... so Moses, you've extricated yourself, but they're coming back after you. They're going to try and grab you again, Waylon, although they know now you're on your own feet.
My drugs.
Right? And then Gunnar, several of them are going to try and grab you back off the stage. They turn and pursue you. One of them is going to try to grab you, Travis, to try and stop you from performing a desecration. So
to stop my war chant.
Yep. So let's have everyone do a speed.
I just realized that these are not sleeping pills. It's horse tranquilizer.
Horse tranquilizer. Yeah.
Right, because you're a vet, right?
Because I'm a vet.
You just gave them ketamine. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Special K. Oh, that's why you snorted. Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect, right? So,
you said speed, right?
Say what? Yeah, speed
you
defense.
Said speed?
Yeah, speed defense. And remember, though, the target number is only 6 because they are double hindered for 1 more round.
For 1 more round, after that, they'll only be single hindered, hopefully.
Right.
Still.
Yeah, as long as the frightful presence keeps going.
Yeah.
So you need to do 6 or higher.
19!
I'm going to make sure this happens, so I'm spending effort on this. I do not want to be pulled down right now.
All right, so we've got success, success, success. And how did you do, Moses?
I rolled a 7.
That's a success. All right. So you
Will I
all
get a minor critical by any chance? I don't know.
yeah, there will be. So let me think of what that might be. I'll take suggestions if you've got one. So it's something. It could be something like, I think maybe your frightful presence is going to keep other cultists from trying to grab you for one round. Maybe.
Oh
Like,
yeah, sure. That would be very helpful, actually.
you know,
Or
so
you
they're
could like scare them into a good position for other people to attack.
yeah.
I actually would prefer because I'm channeling terrifying. For the next round, they probably will avoid me,
Yeah, they might go after some of the other people.
Yeah.
but-
which is really helpful because that means I can keep the frightful presence up.
Yeah, because that's like
It's really
doing it.
useful.
Yeah.
Right. So at this point, yes. So yeah, is it? And just to be clear, the frightful presence is they're just terrified with fear. There's no like they don't get any attempts.
It doesn't say, and it's only him, right? But it says as long as all you are doing is, that's why I can't take any action or even like move.
Right.
That's I think that it's very powerful, but that means I'm only standing there dancing and screaming,
Okay, fair. I just wanted to make sure there was no rule about them getting to resist it somehow. Okay. All right. So Moses, you managed to step back, and it's not super hard because many of the people around you are drugged heavily right now. And so you step back and rejoin Travis. You're now at Travis's side. Waylon, you can push your way either forward to join Gunnar or back to join Travis and Carter. Which way are you leaning? I mean, technically, this is the cultist's turn, so this isn't your action. But I mean, like, you're going to shove your way in one direction. Is there a particular way you wanted to lean?
I say we get to the Reverend and beat him as much as possible.
Wise words.
Okay.
Layla!
So, all right, and Gunnar, you kind of push back and kick off the folks that are kind of grabbing at your back and legs as you are up on the stage. It is now Waylon's turn. You can push your way forward to join Gunnar on the stage if you like, because you have managed to resist their grasping hands.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you what I want to do. I want you to tell me what you would have me roll for it. Okay. So on the one hand, he has Machete still, which he's using to basically keep people from getting too close to him. And I have this weird item, ready-to-eat meals that are in my backpack. And if you've ever seen those before, they're functionally just a brick of condensed food. So I want
like in the train movie, those like which is condensed into
it was just like a brick of just like bread matter. So basically, I want him to take out his backpack. I have 6 of them, and just start hucking them at people to try to get them out of his way.
Okay, so you're chucking food to try to clear the path.
Yep.
Right.
Let's go ahead and make this a might check.
All right.
Right, because this is about how hard you throw a brick of food, right?
Perfect.
At a person.
Let's see if there's anything for that.
Might.
Not really. Okay.
So there, again, 2 levels of hindered, so this is a standard.
Standard, okay.
I mean, I assume you're practiced in food chucking?
Yeah, sure. Do that shit all the time.
Yeah, usually he's not trying to hurt you. He's just like passing it to you, but he never just hands it over.
All right, that didn't work. So that is a whole 1, so you're not going to let me reroll, are you?
Nope.
All right.
There's a whole 1. All right, so you start chucking food, and this is actually not something you're particularly practiced at. You normally are eating the food. You're a good survivalist. You don't throw your food away. Yeah. And so you you just peg Gunnar right in the back of the head with one of these.
Sorry, Gunnar.
So this is a light weapon. So Gunnar, you take 2 might points of damage to the back of your head. And you're going to be hindered 1 step next round.
Oh, damn.
Oops.
Okay.
Because somebody just threw food at the back of your head.
My bad.
And with that, Moses, you're up. You're next to Travis, or you're a step or 2 away. You're within immediate range of Travis, but you've got these people all around you. I mean, and you can tell that it's going to happen. If you just stand here in the next 30 seconds, they're going to overwhelm you, and they're going to be able to grab you. It's just a matter of time.
All right, so I'm going to just shout to all the semi-fleeing human people. These bugs ain't immortals. We outnumber them. We gotta stick together as people. Roughnecks forever.
Ooh.
And like try to inspire them because they know roughnecks because they have some living in their community.
Right,
Absolutely.
right.
So I'm using the reputation of the roughnecks. And I'm like, if you grab them behind the first legs, you can pull them out. Save your friends. That's
Okay.
my bug physiology knowledge.
Nice.
All right. So let's make an intellect test. And because I like the way you think, that's going to be an asset for the Roughneck's reputation and an asset for bug or training in bug physiology.
Nice.
So that's going to drop it to 6 because that would normally be.
We want this to succeed.
So
Right.
that's a persuasion, I think. And I'm going to spend a level of effort. So that's 2 points because I got an edge.
So that will drop it to simple.
Go Doc.
Right.
Moses!
Effort 1. Hell yeah.
Ho ho ho.
They
Natural
are
20.
inspired.
Wow.
Critical
Okay.
hit.
Holy shit.
A major effect. So
All
I
these
was.
people are roughnecks now.
Yeah. I think that, it just so happens that some of the folks who've been showing up, some of them are showing up because they're kind of, you get the impression that a lot of the people are maybe kind of softly coerced into showing up, the ones that aren't members that have no real choice. But some of them show up, and they're probably people like Sam, where they just haven't been arrested yet, where they're former roughnecks, they don't like this, so they're trying to keep an eye on everything to see if there's ever an opportunity for them to help. And you just
Here it
gave them
is.
one. So I'm going to say with a 20. So you're looking at a room of like 50 cultists, and it was like 50 to 75 cultists and like 50 regular folk. And you guys have managed to, let's say, dissuade or disable half a dozen of the cultists, but there's still like, and some of the people are fleeing, but there's still like 30 people in this room. And half of them, at least, turn and start tussling with the cultists, right? And now the room's dynamic has completely changed. Instead of 50 cultists looking in 2 directions at the people approaching the stage, Gunnar and Waylon, and the people at the back, Carter and Travis, they're now looking in every direction because they're surrounded by regular folk. There's still more of the cultists than the humans, but now there's activity everywhere.
Nice.
So
More chaos.
So this is significantly changed the dynamic of the old battlefield.
Go Moses. Look at your bedside manner. It's so good.
Yeah,
know.
I'm turning it around.
Emotional support. This
So-
is coercion.
So let's go. Let's see. This is
Inspiration.
the third round, and this will be the end of the war cry.
Yes, the war cry has ended at the top of the 3rd round.
Right. So
Oh, no, it lasts 3 rounds.
so
this
the
is
end of the third round.
At the end of the round.
So this
Yeah.
is the last round for the war cry. It is going to be Gunnar. You get to go first. You are
All I do is keep doing my thing.
Mhm.
okay. So
Want
So-
to shout anything fun?
Now that I see the people rising, I yell out, your angels will be torn apart by the, what do we call it? Roughnecks.
Roughneck.
The roughnecks will tear the angels by their smooth necks.
Roughneck, smooth necks. I see that. They hesitate for a second, go with it. Yeah, smooth necks, to death to the smooth necks. So,
Boy.
Gunnar, you've got there's a little minor uprising happening here in the temple. What would you like to do?
Great. Well, I just got hit in the back of the head with a brick, so I'm a little distracted. But
No, you're doing
I'm
all
still
right.
gonna.
Well, at least he didn't hit you in the neck.
It's
Yeah,
true.
his rough neck would
I-
like that.
I will. I'm still gonna go follow through
Okay.
with my idea, my plan. So the sedative is a Cypher. And it says the Cypher calms down, or oh wait, no, that's the wrong one. Nullifying blow is the Cypher. There we go. In addition to the damage you inflict with your next melee attack, the creature you struck is unable to use the psychic abilities they possess for a number of rounds equal to the roll I make.
Nice.
Okay.
That's
So-
amazing.
So that I will make that roll. Well, I guess I have to hit him first. So
Yes. So
He has 2 hindrances, but you have 1 hindrance.
right. So that
Okay.
drops it, and he's a level 5. So that drops it from, that's 1 rank lower. So that drops it to difficult, which is a roll of 12 or higher, unless you spend effort.
He
Or,
spends
oh heck yeah! All right, so I am okay. So what difficulty should I put it at right now then?
well, so far you've reduced it by 1 to difficult,
Difficult. Okay,
thanks to
so
the varying hindrances. But do you have any other skills or assets you might think are
Does his
relevant?
bug knowledge help because he's sedating the bug?
Maybe this would be a place where bug hunter and bug is relevant, right?
yeah, you think so?
Sure,
Okay.
I like the idea. So let's drop it to 9. That counts relevant. So then you're down to demanding.
Demanding. Okay. Let's see.
I don't-
You know, we have this chaos brewing around us. Allies have just emerged out of nowhere.
That's helping people on the floor, but maybe not you so
Yeah.
much up on the stage.
Yeah.
I'd say put some elbow grease into it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna use the butt of the shotgun and just like slam it down across his jaw.
Okay, so are you?
Mhm.
If you're using effort, that would drop it to a standard,
Okay,
which is 6 or higher.
yeah, I'm definitely gonna do that. And then essentially, like when I hit him across the face, it's gonna expose the bug and then stab the syringe right into the bug. So let's get the effort.
I have an experience in worst case.
Okay.
That does it. All right, a 16 is a good
Okay.
roll. That beats definitely. Yeah.
Great. So for the next 2 rounds, he cannot use his psychic. He also does. It takes 5 damage. Is that how that works?
Is it a?
I was using unarmed strike, but I can also use like the machete for damage. I don't know what would be best.
If you're
since I
using
am
the butt
also-
of the weapon, then you're still using the weapon, I guess. So go ahead and take the damage. from
Well,
the-
the shotgun's like 6, so that I don't know if that.
Oh, maybe
Yeah.
a shotgun's a medium weapon. Maybe it counts a light weapon instead.
yeah, let's say since you're just hitting
Why
with
don't
it,
you
it's
just use the unarmed strike damage, which is better than light weapon and worse
agree.
than shotgun weapon.
Yeah.
Because I am trained with no need for weapons.
yeah,
Oh, okay, cool.
It's more flavored that he's using the butt of the
yeah, no.
shotgun.
You maybe were gonna like hit him with your thing. You just got him with your elbow instead.
Yeah. I'm like,
Cause that bonk on the head.
yeah.
All right, sure.
Elbow gunner!
All right, so
So-
5 damage, and he's also like short circuited for 2 rounds.
All right. And
Right.
let's not forget. So your unarmed strike does 5 damage, right? That's just the
Ooh.
normal damage from unarmed strike.
Yeah,
But you also have this.
I do. That's 2 more, and we did the what was the other?
Oh, the scope thing or whatever. Cypher.
what
Oh,
was
that's
it?
for range weapons only.
Oh, that's range. Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, good.
So you do
Um,
7 points of damage just with your normal
Wow.
attack.
Damn, okay.
All right. Yeah, you get the feeling that maybe, I don't know, doing that one more time isn't just going to disable him for 2 rounds, if you know what I'm saying.
I think you can choose if you're using a melee weapon or a, your hand. You can easily choose to do non-lethal damage. With a gun, you have to like describe how you're not doing lethal damage
Yeah,
if
right.
you're
Yeah,
trying to not
that
kill
makes sense.
people.
Yeah,
That's the
of course.
general. I mean, you can kill the Reverend. I don't care. But
I mean,
as,
I don't think
as
the gunner's
an
gonna really
informational
care.
point,
Right.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
good
the
to know.
most important thing there is you disrupted his psychic power for 2
Yeah.
rounds. Really
That is the goal.
So
Yeah.
you climb up there. People are grabbing you and you push them off as you climb up onto the stage. The Reverend is frightened and disturbed by Travis's disgusting display of destroying one of his angels, he thought these things were, and you just sock him right in the face, and he kind of stumbles back. His head drops low, and you're able to stick that syringe right in the bug in the back of his head. He kind of goes rigid and electric for a moment, and then he kind of leans back, and he looks very dazed. The silver light that was in his eyes flickers out. And again, everyone in the room hesitates. Again, the silver light flickers out. And the Reverend is now shouting, "You've got to get them! Get them!" But they don't seem to be reacting. When I get to their turn, we'll see if anything else happens. All right. I think that means it's their turn, actually, now that I think about it. It is.
Yeah, because
Travis is performing. So the Reverend is still terrified of Travis, but he is now trying to command the acolytes to grab all of you. All the acolytes around you, their lights, they stand up, their lights, the silver lights in their eyes go out, but then come back on again. Waylon, something psychic is happening.
Yep.
They stop pursuing you four, and they walk up to the stage and pick up the 3 bugs that have died and begin to leave. Somebody else is commanding them.
Uh-oh, the Queen Mother.
Okay.
Waylon, what would you like to do?
All right. So I know that they're all being commanded to leave, but the one that Gunnar ran into, is that one still incapacitated?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, there's like 40 people here. They're not all going to be able to pick up the bugs and walk out. So it's kind of like there's a whole bunch of people lining up to leave the room, right? But they seem like they have something else they care about right now, which is not, and it's not what the Reverend's telling them to do.
All right. So Wayland is going to do an experiment real fast. So out of his backpack, he takes the duct tape and follows what the doctor said, Moose and or Moses, sorry, takes out the 2 legs out of the dude that's falling on the ground, the bug out of his head, slaps onto the back of his head, duct tapes it so it can't go anywhere, and is going to see if he can use that to do psychic backlash against everyone.
So you're going to attach this bug to your head.
Yep.
Okay.
This is so exciting.
How do you want to take care of this one?
Yeah. So I'm going to say that so removing it is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a question. Are you going to try to remove it in a way that it sounds like you're just ripping it off. You're not performing surgery.
I assume that he is still basically going off the deep end right now. So like internally killing people is bad, but that's not really what is important to Wayland right now.
Okay.
I did give you the tip as to how to pull them off without hurting the person. So maybe that can be the asset.
Okay.
Okay.
So go ahead and this is going to be a might test. You're just ripping this off, and it's attached pretty well. And so this is going to be a question of how well you get it off and how much damage, if any, you do to the host, and whether the creature survives it.
All right, and I want to use the pool for that, so I can only use 1 point at one time, right?
For effort, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But you have, if you have any skills related, you can apply those. Any assets, which I'll say that Carter's advice, Moses' advice on how to do this counts as an asset.
Okay.
So any skills related to fighting bugs or bug physiology or psychic business.
I have the psychic cipher already. I don't know if you want to just use that for it.
Well, do you have any skills related or no?
Identifying plants and creatures is really the only thing. And knowledge generally.
Well, let's say, so this will drop it. So with all of that, that'll drop it down to a level 5. All right. So that'll drop it down to demanding. So that's 3 things.
Demanding. Okay. And that was with the points I'm using, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Please. Damn it.
3. All right.
Oh, wait. I'm going to give you an experience. I think this is an important roll.
All right. All right. We're going to try again.
Right. The dice tell part of the story. Let's see how it goes.
Oh. How do I get the same number?
Find another one.
This is the second time in this session that's happened.
All right. Anybody spending any more?
Do it again. Do it again. I spent one.
I'll use my point first. It's okay.
All right, we are going to see. This is Waylon
Please,
is trying
God.
all of his experience fighting the bugs, seeing the horrors that he's seen. He's freaking out. He supernatural. He's got adrenaline pumping. What is going to happen as he reaches for this bug, puts his hand on it, rips it off the back of this person's head? Okay, it hurts them quite badly because when you pull it off, you can see there's like a proboscis that had been sticking in the back of its skull, the person's skull. And so this blood is now flowing. The person's not dead, but you get the impression that probably they will have some brain damage. However, it's in your hand, and you manage to get it off, and you're going to slap it on the back of your head, huh?
Yep.
All right. So in order to do that, well, gosh, let's go ahead and make let's make an intellect defense task.
All right.
To resist.
Is this the task of doing the psychic backlash?
This is now to resist the effect of becoming mind controlled by the bug that you're willingly putting on the back of your head.
But does the psychic backlash also have a resist effect? That's an important thing.
Yeah, so I guess, so here, I mean, what do you think? Is this attaching it and then issuing the psychic backlash? The question is, if you do that, you might have lost control. Let's have it be, well, let's go ahead and see what your intellect defense task is. I'll say that...
the backlash says, a psychic power affecting you backfires on the creature using it, which I think would mean you can just let it happen, and it doesn't happen. It reverses.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
I think it has to do the psychic effect first, and then it backlashes, and maybe you're in control instead, because it's control you.
The creature now suffers the effects of the psychic power and takes damage.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, all right, this is good. All right, so because you've successfully pulled it off, you slap it on your head. You just spend the intellect points to issue the psychic backlash. How about it goes something like this? You put this awful thing on the back of your head, and you feel its chitinous arms hugging the back of your neck. And its probing proboscis begins to insert itself into the base of your skull. And it's only then that you feel its alien mind reach out and try to strangle yours, when exploding from your mind is a power that you almost didn't know you had to resist such a thing. And it's like an instant migraine, but for just a moment, your eyes turn silver, and you see through every single person's eyes in this village who has one of these on their heads.
Oh my god, you tell them to rip off their bugs.
It's like a facet. It's like a faceted vision of a fly, but in each facet, it's a different person you're seeing out of their eyes. And here's the thing: some of these eyes are in this village, but some of them are somewhere else, somewhere you haven't been, somewhere that looks like a factory, dark, dingy. One area seems to be coated, the walls, floor, and ceiling, with some organic goo, and implanted in them in places are various sized eggs. And at the back of that room is the largest bug you've ever seen. And then the spider on your head explodes.
Nice.
Because it did damage to these creatures directly, not through their hosts.
Yes.
And the connection is severed. Now you do take some damage. You're going to take what is the damage here from having this thing stick its head in? Yeah, it's going to inflict. Doesn't say what kind of damage. 4 damage to the host. You can need to make an intellect defense test to resist any damage that it has just from, a might defense test from the proboscis just poking you in the back of the head. You're going to take some damage.
Scrambled your brains.
Yeah, right.
Physically, like with a spoon.
And then
was that demanding?
Yes, let's do it at that level. It's not. Yeah, this is a slightly different because it didn't really fully attach. So yes, that's good enough. That would have been difficult. Yep. All right. So all right, you managed to take it off. It doesn't. Let's say you take 2 points of might damage because you did allow it to poke its proboscis into the back of your skull momentarily. But the damage isn't bad. You don't have brain damage or anything. You don't think.
Awesome.
But yeah, you were connected to the hive mind for a moment there. Saw things. All right. So at this point, I think that the room is cleared. The combat is effectively over. The Reverend is disabled for 30 seconds or something. Clara is gripping Martin, but Martin is trying to like pushing her aside because she is kind of dazed. In fact, she has begun to stand up and walk out of the room as well. And Martin looks kind of distressed and concerned, and alone. He's not he doesn't think you have anything to do with him. He just doesn't know what's going on precisely. You get the impression that the Reverend here is alone now, basically defenseless. You get the impression that the Queen of Angels is disappointed in the Reverend for letting her children die and has forsaken him. And that's
Why
effective.
have you forsaken me?
That's what he's saying, that sort of thing on the ground as he's kind of dazed and paralyzed. Says, "No, Mother, I'm such a good servant. I did my best. I do not know what happened to your children. They came out of the eggs like that. It's not my fault. Please don't leave me alone in the darkness."
Rattlesnake venom.
So, what would you like to do? You know the ultimate cause of all of this is the Queen. You know where she is. You know what she looks like. The Reverend, this town seems to be largely under the Queen's ultimate control. But the Reverend you have at your mercy.
We should definitely tie him up before we do anything else.
Yeah. I think a great ending of our adventure would be rustle up the town to assault the Queen's factory.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's
they're already kind of on our side, so let's have them.
Yeah,
Wait,
the ending of our movie is we're and rushing towards the factory.
Is the truck here? And does it still have all those weapons?
Yes, and yes.
We can pass those weapons out to all of the roughnecks that are here, and we can go and the factory.
All right, I like this plan.
We have a doctor with us. We can also try and remove the bugs of people, so we free people from the Queen's.
Well,
oh yeah, I want to try and remove the bug from Sam's wife.
Clara, yeah. So Samantha would definitely appreciate this. So Clara is slowly heading out, but you can very easily intercept her because she had much farther to go, having been on the stage. No rolls to intercept her, but a roll will be required to remove it without doing brain damage to her.
You have some medical specialization, right?
All right, doctor, get on it.
I'm specialized in medicine and healing. I've got a first aid kit, which is a healing asset. And I have this special ability called the Healing Touch, which will restore stat points to people.
Okay.
Nice.
So it's a simple task with all of that, and that's without the healing touch. If you fail on the roll, then you have to use the healing touch to heal the brain damage you've inflicted. Which, unfortunately, the person that Wayland helped did just suffer some brain damage, but they're alive and they're no longer under the control of the bug. 19. Okay.
19.
You remove it, and you do it in such a way that she actually doesn't even take the damage that she only takes 1 point of damage residual from this creature versus the 4 she would have taken by ripping it off. And
Put
so
a Band-Aid on it.
yeah, right. Her eyes kind of blink and clear, and she's completely confused and befuddled, just like the one, not as bad as the one that Waylon helped. But she says, "What's going on? Oh my, what happened?"
Your wife. We got a radio from her. And we came to help you and your son.
Oh, it's all coming back to me now. Oh my God, Martin. And then she runs over to Martin, and you get the impression that she is is okay physically, and she begins to speak to Martin, and Martin is initially quite fearful of her, but sees that she's recovered herself. And after a moment or two, she turns to you and says, "I'm starting to remember. It was awful. At times I felt like mostly myself, but at times all I could see was the silver light, and I don't know what happened. But I'd find myself serving, bringing Martin to the temple, Oh, my baby. And she hugs him and is quite pleased that he did not get inducted this day. And she says, Sam, is Sam okay? I think I remember they had him
at the house.
They
nice
had it.
House, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, she's there under house arrest. She's okay?
Oh yeah. Her guard has somehow disappeared.
I bet she had a way with those. She was a troublemaker.
She is. If you could help us round up all these infected people, we gotta go. Put them somewhere safe, like the jail or something, until we can take care of the queen.
All right.
And then we'll come in and fix everybody.
So she agrees. You've saved her life, the life of her sons. You have reported that her wife is doing okay still. So at this point, I'm going to zoom back a little bit. Here's what you've got, right? You're in a temple. You're in the town square, like civic building, and outside there's a dozen or more of these acolytes who are kind of mindlessly carrying these dead head bugs to. They're actually walking towards the truck, but there's also like 40 or something townsfolk that are resisting them. So there's like a kind of pitched battle happening. You come out, you rally the townsfolk to your aid, and several of and they start ripping off these bugs. Unfortunately, after having seen you guys do it a few times, some of them are doing it rather violently. But so there's this pitched battle that's slowly, numbers wise, pivoting towards the villages or the humans' side. Go ahead and describe first. What happens next? So we're going to have, it's 2:45. We've been playing for 3 hours and 45 minutes. Is that right? Yeah. So, and I believe Elijah has a hard out here in about half an hour. So why don't we speaking in a meta way, you've achieved the success you needed to achieve in Venetian Isles, which is ultimately save Martin, optionally and ideally Clara as well, preventing these inductions from happening. You've disrupted the control here, although there's still dozens and dozens of acolytes walking around under the control of the mother, but she is angry at the Reverend right now, who is now disabled, but the mother but queen is this bug in this factory a few miles outside of town. So if we had wanted to or had more time, that you could travel there and there would be this big boss fight. But I think I'd rather hear it in a cinematic narrative from you all. So how about you each describe your part in the battle? How does it work? Do you bring you bring this citizen army? There's a dozen or so cultists armed outside and within this building, as well as a dozen or more ant warriors serving the queen. And then she in her lair, her nest, full of icky, gooey. I'm thinking about xenomorphs and the Aliens movies' eggs here. Let's go around and we'll start with, what does Travis do? What does Travis's contribution look like?
So the scene that really sticks to mind of Travis in the last scene is like this, because of the camera, it looks like a horde, even though we don't have really a horde of townspeople. We still have, a dozen or something townspeople, but we can see he's like, and he's like riding on top of the truck, and like so everyone can see him. And the last, and they're like, he's like a dirty fighter, right? So his role is he like riles up the last of the properly sentient townspeople to rush the guards of the bug queen. And the last thing you see is him opening up his switchblade and his other knife that he has, his hunting knife, and he leaps off the truck and like towards one of these bug things. That's the last scene of Travis.
Yes, but so Travis throws himself into the fray, whirling blades, especially focusing on the ant warriors, because one of the things that the townsfolk wanted to do was grab and rip off these bugs off of the heads of the other cultists.
So I take my mini horde, the people who are inspired by my like terrifyingness, and I leap into this crowd with them to do that.
So we leave Travis where in his happy place, covered in bug ichor, hemolymph, blades swinging, and him laughing, tongue out as well. So what about Gunnar? Well, how is Gunnar contributing to this experience?
This is rekindling his memories of the war, and so he is full soldier now, leading like the actual infiltration of the factory, and as each giant ant comes in, he like fires off a few of the shotgun shots, allowing the other, militiamen to head in and make sure that any infected members of the town are sedated and out of harm's way before we enter the main room.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So I can see it now. This is nice because it's going appropriately as you enter, right? So Travis gets you through the gate, right? I can imagine the truck crashes through the gate. He leaps off of the roof into the fray. The townsfolk come swarming in afterwards and start ripping bugs off of heads while the while people are trying to shoot with their rifles, and chaos ensues. You head further forward with more of the civilians and your fellows shooting your way into the factory. So you're now inside the factory. Waylon, what does Waylon do to contribute to this, getting you to, let's say, the Queen?
Okay. So how close are we to the Queen right now?
Let's say you're at the entrance. It's a huge warehouse area, so you've got to get to the back of this warehouse.
Okay. So Waylon has had his assault rifle out and just been going. You can sort of tell that he's starting to teeter a little bit. It's been a lot of traumatic things that happened today, and he's probably throwing himself into this a little bit too hard. And is just going to just keep shooting until it runs out of bullets, and then grab a couple more since we got so many of those. And let's see. In the little sling that they had for the poison, he has his matches and Molotov cocktail ready to go and has a plan for the end of this.
Yes, excellent. So Gunnar and Waylon, you're like blasting your way in. There's half a dozen ant warriors here, so just, you remember these friendly guys, right? They look like
yes. We love those guys.
Right? Yeah. So the ant warriors, come swarming out to defend their queen. But you've got and they've got those like, they actually have that like range weapon. They can shoot these little like bony spurs out of this arm like a gun. And so those things are whizzing by you. One of the townsfolk goes down next to you, but they all are armed thanks to the weapons you had and their own weapons. This is America. I'm sure half of them have rifles. So they all, there's this gunfire in all directions. Ants are falling, humans are falling, but you manage to blast your way to the Queen. So let's hear what Moses does, and then everyone can say something about what they might do to fight the Queen. Let me first reveal the Queen in all her glory.
Oh man, this is a good one.
So here you go.
Oh, can you do that? Sorry, I exited by accident. Oh, ooh.
So this queen is immense. She's a giant segmented worm. She has scythe-like teeth, hundreds of tiny clawed legs down her ribbed body. She looks like she had tunneled up out of the ground into this place. She has this chitinous shell, like a kind of oily fractal hues, and she is immense, but fast. She's not slow. And her giant bulbous body, you could tell, is dedicated to the laying of many, many, many of these eggs. You also know that, the bugs, one of the things that's unusual about them is that they co-opt the DNA of creatures that they encounter. And so they've quite clearly co-opted a new source of information. These brain slugs have somehow learned how to connect, or taught the Queen how to connect psychically. So these head spiders that she's been laying lately. She's been slowly taking over people, building a little army. But you're going to try to stop it. What does it look like when you...
Just as a reference, her like whole thing is like based on a bobbit worm, and you should definitely look them up. I mean, it's like a bobbit worm plus other creatures, but they're gross.
So next time you want some gross real-world entomology, bobbit worm, brought to you by Cypher
like
System.
It's a sea worm.
Nice.
So Moses is doing what Moses does best. Everybody who doesn't have a weapon, he's like, gather round, folks. He gets out some PCP.
Right. Well, this is her. So Moses, his one of his ciphers, subtle ciphers, is he gets kind of a boost from taking his stimulants. So PCP flies around here. You are enhanced.
So everybody's like, like, I didn't give them to the people who have to aim because nobody aims when they're on PCP.
I'll take your word for it.
Everybody, I'm like, tear them apart! And like, we start rushing forward, like, I believe I can lift 6 city buses now. And I just go like straight for some legs and start trying to rip them off.
Right. So the humans, come rushing in, amped by your medical enhancement, shall we say. But you will say that you can see as they run in, one of the things that happens is that there are all of these kind of slugs all over its body that fall off onto the people who try to engage with it. And so some of them are fighting and ripping at it, and some of them are having to rip these brain slugs off of them that have fallen onto them. They manage to tear off some of its legs while its mandibles and chew up a few of the attackers, swinging this huge claws around. Okay, so let's go ahead and hear how the finishing blows happen. So we'll go back around the circle. So Travis, what part do you play in bringing down the queen?
Yeah. So I'm gonna say Dirty Fighter again. He actually the bug is there. I'm gonna say they're like electrical wiring and bulbs and things at the top. So he screams and goes and starts like slicing down and messing with anything suspended and like starts like bulbs and like things start falling onto the queen, like broken piece of glass, like things suspended, netting, barrels, whatever. Yeah.
So this is a factory. It's actually a munitions plant.
Oh, yeah.
So crates and chemicals begin pouring down onto this creature from storage areas up above.
I'm pushing crates off, and I'm getting the people, and I'm yelling, Gunner! Moses! Wayland! Ah!
Munitions are falling from the sky onto this massive creature's back, right? Bullets, gunpowder charges, grenades. It's a hazardous terrain, let's say. Wayland, no, who did we do next? Gunner, I believe. How do you Travis is setting you up. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, Gunner goes for the core of the queen, firing shotgun shot after another into the midsection. Gore is pouring out, which so happens to mix with the other flammable items and liquids and stuff, allowing for a big pool of this around the queen to collect. And I start moving back, passing by Wayland and out of the way.
So, you're plugging, this big pool is forming, this hole you've ripped in its abdomen. It is, meanwhile, the creature it looks at one person and you can feel, Wayland, the psychic energy blast out of its mind, and this person's head just explodes like scanners and he falls over. Another creature gets grabbed up by the mandibles and chewed and swallowed. So you're losing some civilians, but you four manage to avoid the worst of it. Gunner has set everything up. Moses, Wayland, Gunner and Travis have set you up. How do you finish it off? Do you have anything? I know Wayland's got something planned. Do you have anything planned, Moses?
Yeah, so I rip one of its big claws off with the help of some other drugged up people. And then I take it and I like just start wailing on the mother, the queen, with her own claw.
Leg.
So yeah, the like four of you, you and like three or four other villagers, civilians here, climb up and get wrestle. Somebody's got a hacksaw. They're like and whacking at it with a machete. Finally, you tear off one of these claws, and you're just beating this.
And it's like almost as tall as me. It's like
Yeah, you're beating the queen, bug queen, with her own razor sharp claw. Okay, I like that. So Waylon, how do you finish the creature off? You have something in mind?
Okay, so as I was sort of running through this crowd towards the creature, I've been passing off all of the different weapons I have, the light gun, machete, and compound bow, to different people so they can actually use it. So he turns back to Travis and is like, sorry, I was mean. I think I get it now. And you can tell he's sort of gone fully off the deep end. Gets close enough that he's definitely going to die, and just goes ahead and throws the lights the Molotov cocktail and throws it directly into the wound.
All right.
And you hear me yell, Layla!
All right. So the Molotov
Carter's
cocktail
like, what's that?
arcs through the air. There's this hole that's been torn in the egg sac, right? This fat, swollen abdominal area of this creature.
Yeah, it's where Moses ripped the leg out. Yeah.
Yep.
And it flies in this wound, explodes with fire, and detonates all of these munitions and this goo that's it's been pooling here. There's the massive explosion. The screen goes to black. Then, in the aftermath, the munitions factory leveled. Those who remain, slowly walking their way back, soot and blood and bug ichor all over them. Who are among them? Is Travis, Waylon, Gunnar, and Carter? Moses, that is? Who knows? But we do know one thing. The Bug Queen is dead, and with her, her spider children, freeing the Venetian Isles and making a new bastion for the Roughnecks to fight the bugs in the bayou. And so with that,
Good job, Roughnecks.
we'll finish
We
it up.
did it.
All right. So
I want the Roughnecks to pee in my honor.
might be a new tradition.
Just pour one out, but they're just peeing into the river for you.
Pee one out for our homie. Yeah. All right. So what I'd like to do at the end here is a little like stars and wishes, a little highlights. So is there anything in particular anyone will go around and each person would like to highlight or wish for more of, or something different or less of? It can be positive or negative. Next time. So let's go ahead and switch back to our player overlay here. And let's hear from, Elijah.
Just like always, I liked that we all gave each other room to do like our own thing, and no one was like the most important character. I think next time I'll probably try to mess with a character as far as like the actual character sheet bio a little bit beforehand, just so I don't feel like, okay, now in the second session I understand this character. So, but yeah, I'll try to be better with that. That's the only thing I was really thinking of.
No, I think everybody did
idea.
fine. But yeah, and I do enjoy the way you guys set each other up. That's been a blast to watch. How about you, Sean?
I really enjoy when we use like items and things in unusual and different.
Yeah.
When I run Cypher System, like sometimes I let people use ciphers, and if they've thought of new ways of using that isn't on the sheet, but feels okay. So like I love the psychic backlash use. I love the like sleep powder. Like I really enjoy when like people use items in cool ways. I know some DMs who are like, no, that's not how you use an item. I'm like, bitches, this is so fun.
Yeah.
So I really I thought everyone was very ingenious, or displayed a lot of ingenuity doing that. And we'll see what happens next week as well.
Yeah, no, I agree 100% with that. And I definitely like to and the choices of players for sure. And I love how you guys roll with it. Andrew, what about you?
I really love that ending. I mean, I know, it was kind of a speed through, but something about like each person taking a part of it, like just adding to the narrative is gratifying. And I have to. I think this was our first session, right? Or not? This game was our first session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like interesting to. One, that was my first live stream, and then like the first session with this character. So that was interesting to like come back to that, and I really want to like get into the backstory of the character and hopefully jump into it a little bit more warm next time, so that I can like thoroughly play that character from the beginning. But I felt like even saying that first session was like great. I really enjoyed it, and as all games are, you kind of find that character once you say your first line.
Right.
You're like,
right.
oh, this is how it's going to be. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Well, hopefully, one of the things we've talked about off screen is that, we are been running a lot of just one shots. This ended up being a 2-shot. And, we've got one or two more things planned. Like next week, we'll do one that might end up going more than one session, where we're playing Sharang's Infernal Collection. And after that, we have some ideas. I think, Char, you've got one that another one you wanted to feature. But we could I would like to transition to a model where we are doing more multi-session adventures, in part for my own reasons, because it's easier to prep, but
I bet.
I don't have to prep a whole new adventure every session, right? But also for that reason, it lets our characters explore the characters a little bit more, develop relationships, and the narratives can be more fun to pursue across 3, 4, 5 sessions. So hopefully we'll be able to do that quite a bit more. So Char, you knew this adventure going in. Did you have any stars or wishes you wanted to highlight?
This was the first time anybody's poisoned the eggs. So that was awesome, and having the payoff not be until like the next scene, where it just causes like whole chaos, was like pretty amazing. And everybody is so like creative. I love how people like will just pose wild ideas, and we'll all just kind of run with it and add to it and like work together to like build this like scene where we're all like doing like stuff that is so random but works so well.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, it's been, I think a well-written adventure sets up a situation, and then it gives the players the opportunity to approach it however they like. And I love that you all approach it in ways I never would have anticipated. But, you're just, okay, let's figure it out. How did it go? The dice will tell us, and then we'll figure it out. That's what I love most about gaming.
Oh, and one other thing I wanted to say, and this kind of just goes back to the whole like weird item use thing. If with other pre-gens we do, the more weird mundane skills and mundane items that can be in there, it seems like we all do like really well with that. So just if you like, even if you're like this character, this is a modern day tabletop game, so this person, it has a whole like Marvel collection. I don't know, I could probably do something with that.
Yeah, no, that's right. And even, that's like next week we're playing some D&D, so make sure that everyone looks at their equipment list and notices, oh, I've got ball bearings. Please do something with the ball bearings.
Next week, the adventure is set in a fashion house. So
yes, it's a D&D fashion adventure. So
nice. Please
utilize your equipment to its greatest and most unexpected way.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah, I expect it. I look forward to it. All right, so thanks everybody. We're finished here. Next week we're playing some D&D, and we're playing Sharang's Adventure. On Thursday we have another stream as well as Saturday, so be sure to check those out. The schedule is listed below the stream, as well as a link to the adventure we just played. So we hope to see you again soon. Thank you very much, everybody.
Woo!
Bye.